Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio Chapter 301. The Universe of Light in Zhu Guang Universe Kingdom. On a barren planet, a ripple of divine power appeared, and a figure materialized on the planet. Qin Hao appeared on the planet and did not linger. His divine power spread, and he instantly teleported from his original position, each teleportation covering several light years. Under Qin Hao's full exertion, star regions disappeared behind him one after another, and Qin Hao rapidly advanced towards the coordinates. After half an hour, Qin Hao finally arrived near the coordinate location. Stopping, he looked at the starry sky before him, and Qin Hao felt a touch of surprise. The energy in the starry sky was extremely chaotic. The forces of time and space formed an extremely complex energy field, and constantly traversing light rays continuously influenced the power of time law. In the entire area, time seemed to have fallen into chaos. Qin Hao could clearly feel the changes in time law, time acceleration, time deceleration, and time stasis, causing everything around him to change rapidly. The complex energy field directly enveloped tens of millions of kilometers around, and on the planets within, there were even quite a few living beings. Qin Hao could clearly see the lives on the planets rapidly growing and dying under the influence of time law, and he also saw many lives appearing as if frozen in time. It seems to be a new mystical region, likely affected by time law. Under the powerful time law, space law, and wind, thunder, and light law were also fully activated. Qin Hao observed the mystical region before him and directly entered it. Although the internal energy was extremely complex, the chaotic time law, space law, and wind, thunder, and light law had no impact on Qin Hao. Walking through the starry sky, Qin Hao also continuously activated time law, constantly neutralizing the effects brought by the chaotic time law. Qin Hao did not intend to violently destroy the mystical region before him. Under such circumstances, for some cultivators, it was undoubtedly a blessed land. Whether cultivating wind law, law of thunder, light laws, or time law, there would be a significant boost. Hong must have also discovered this mystical region, entered it to explore, and got trapped inside. Qin Hao quickly understood Hong's predicament and began searching for Hong's figure. Tens of millions of kilometers was not a large area for Qin Hao. Moving rapidly, Qin Hao quickly discovered Hong's figure in a void. There was a long river formed by light laws and time law. Within the long river was a huge vortex, and inside the vortex, Hong and an old man were trapped. The two were trapped in the vortex, with a phantom world formed by world power surrounding their bodies, protecting them in the center, and preventing them from being directly swallowed by the vortex. Looking at the long river before him, Qin Hao could clearly feel the aura of light laws and time law, and he couldn't help but sigh, truly a creation of the primordial universe. Qin Hao did not hesitate. His divine power condensed and directly extended into the long river, enveloping Hong and the old man in the vortex and pulling them out of the long river. "Thank you, Qin Hao, you came so fast. It seems you have already become an undying," Hong said with emotion, looking at Qin Hao after being brought out of the river of time. Qin Hao's strength had long reached the immortal level, and Hong was also aware of Qin Hao's immense power, but that surging divine power left them without any thought of resistance. Such powerful strength, along with the strong aura it contained, was clearly the divine power of an undying. Indeed, it seems your luck wasn't so good this time. However, it can also be considered a fortuitous encounter. The river of time before us contains time law and light laws, which are very compatible with your path, Qin Hao said, pointing to the river of time. Hong's path was originally to comprehend time law and light laws, and the river of time before them was a blessed land for enlightenment. Luo and I were wandering when we happened to encounter the changes in this area. We were cultivating by the river, but we didn't expect to be pulled into it and only had time to send you a message, Hong told Qin Hao, still feeling a lingering fear. The fortuitous encounter was significant. In just a few years, Hong had made great progress in both light laws and time law. However, the moment he was drawn into the vortex, the surging power made him feel as if he could be torn apart by the river's forces at any moment. Fortunately, as a world lord of the primitive mystical region, Hong had many life-saving treasures which preserved both their lives at the most dangerous moment. "Greetings, sir," Luo, who was at his side, respectfully bowed to Qin Hao at this moment. "Time World Lord Luo." Looking at the old man before him, with the aura of twilight about him, Qin Hao quickly understood the identity of the person. In the original work, he was Hong's teacher, a World Lord peak-level expert who comprehended light laws and gained the acknowledgement of source law, but because he was distracted by time law, he did not become an undying, and his lifespan should not have much time left. Yes. Yuo was also surprised that this person knew his identity. "You have some talent, but it's still limited. If you fully comprehend light laws, there's still a glimmer of hope to break through to undying." Qin Hao was also very clear about Luo's talent. Higher laws is a temptation that no cultivator can abandon, but the result of being too distracted is like Luo now, trapped at the threshold of undying, unable to break through. This mystical region will be accepted by my Virtual Universe Corporation, and subsequent construction will be carried out targeting the mystical region. As the discoverer of the mystical region, I give you two choices. Join the Virtual Universe Corporation and become one of the mystical region's administrators, or be given the opportunity to comprehend and a certain amount of resource compensation, Qin Hao said. Since the appearance of this mystical region was discovered, it must be brought under management. After all, behind the mystical region is not just opportunity, but also a certain danger. Insufficient cultivation or accidentally entering it could lead to being swallowed by the mystical region's power. After the Virtual Universe Corporation takes over this mystical region, it will also need to be explored and then divided into different areas to satisfy the members' exploration and comprehension. I choose to join the Virtual Universe Corporation. Yuo did not hesitate and immediately gave his answer. He was very clear about Qin Hao's meaning. If he kept the opportunity to comprehend and received certain resources, he would have a great chance to break through and become an undying. But what then, after becoming an undying? Without the backing of a major power, he would just be a slightly stronger undying, with very limited room for growth. After meeting Hong, he also understood the profound heritage of major powers. The genius from the genius battle back then had now grown into an expert even stronger than himself. The person before him had grown into an existence he could only look up to. Very good. Now both of you will follow me for now. Personnel from the Virtual Universe Corporation will arrive shortly. Qin Hao said, his divine power directly enveloping the two, and with an instant teleportation they appeared outside the mystical region. Chapter 302, The Lord of the Celestial Empire. Chapter 302. Country Lord of Zhaoguang. Outside the secret realm, Qin Hao, Hong, and Luo appeared. However, during the time Qin Hao was entering and exiting, the secret realm had expanded again, now exceeding 100 million kilometers and still rapidly expanding. Qin Hao watched the rapidly expanding secret realm, and with the two, instantly moved another billion kilometers away. Based on the energy within the secret realm and its current growth rate, 1 billion kilometers was basically the limit for this secret realm. For ordinary people, 1 billion kilometers is a vast area, but for most cultivators, this range is quite limited. Even planetary-level flight would take a relatively short time. Such secret realms are not uncommon in the Virtual Universe Corporation. In terms of size alone, it would rank last, but if one considers the laws within, it could rank among the top. You can cultivate here. The secret realm will not expand to this point, Qin Hao said to Hong and Luo. Although it wouldn't be as shocking and clear as directly facing the laws inside, observing the evolution of a secret realm from a broader perspective was still a good opportunity for them. After the two entered cultivation, Qin Hao waited in place. He had already sent news of the new secret realm to the Virtual Universe Corporation, and the corporation's personnel had begun to act. Personnel for the secret realm, along with the resources needed for its construction, also began to rapidly gather and head towards the secret realm's location. However, preparing the materials and gathering the personnel would take time. It would be a few more days before they arrived. While the personnel from the Virtual Universe Company headquarters had not yet arrived, the branch personnel arrived on the third day. Leading them were the three heads of the Virtual Universe Corporation in the Zhu Guang Universe Kingdom, followed by some elites from the branch. Qin Hao was not surprised by their arrival, but the person who accompanied them did somewhat surprise him. "Greetings, Star Palace Master." The country lord of Zhaoguang approached Qin Hao and bowed respectfully. As the country lord of the Zhu Guang Universe Kingdom, the country lord of Zhaoguang was also one of the older country lords and venerables in the human race, with strength even surpassing the Gan Wu country lord. He achieved the venerable level through the time law and the law of light, and with long-term accumulation and growth, he was already very close to the universe overlord level. However, facing the Star Palace Master before him, the country lord of Zhaoguang dared not show the slightest negligence. This newly risen universe, lord-level powerhouse of the human race, had left a large number of inheritances in primordial Chaos City, and even developed many secret techniques. Even the recent temporary shutdown of the virtual universe was related to this powerhouse. According to the information he received, a major change might be coming to the human race. Every piece of news filled the country lord of Zhaoguang with curiosity about the Star Palace Master before him. His arrival this time was a coincidence. While communicating with the Virtual Universe Corporation branch, he inadvertently received the news and thus directly followed along. "Country lord of Zhaoguang, I didn't expect you to come as well. However, since this secret realm is within your universe country, you should indeed be notified. The evolution of the secret realm will conclude in 10 days, and the personnel stationed by the Virtual Universe Company headquarters will also arrive. At that time, I will ask the country lord of Zhaoguang to witness the formation of this secret realm." Qin Hao said to the country lord of Zhaoguang, his tone without much emotional fluctuation, as if stating a very simple matter. "Yes." The country lord of Zhaoguang replied respectfully, not saying much more, but instead looked towards the rapidly expanding secret realm in the distance. He immediately saw the chaotic law powers within the secret realm: wind, light, and thunder laws, time law, space law, chaotic to the extreme, yet also full of various obscure laws. The laws are actually so clear, and the time law and space law are also so clear, with even a large number of fusion laws present. As a universe country lord, the country lord of Zhaoguang's knowledge far surpassed that of an ordinary venerable. He could clearly perceive the fusion laws within the secret realm, especially the river of time spanning the center of the secret realm. The law fusion of the time law and the law of light made him involuntarily immerse himself in the comprehension of the river of time. After becoming a venerable, he had always been searching for a path to break through. His comprehension of the space law and fusion laws had reached its limit over countless years, and his strength had not fluctuated for countless years. Now, looking at the river of time before him, he actually gained new insights, and the law fusion of the time law and the law of light began to advance continuously. At the same time, the insights gained from the law fusion of the time law and the law of light stone tablet he saw in primordial Chaos City also began to surface in his mind. The law trajectories he had forcibly memorized now became extremely smooth. The parts of the stone tablet he had not understood before now began to make perfect sense. As a universe country lord, a core member of the human race, and a universe country lord under the Virtual Universe Corporation, Venerable Zhaoguang was also among the first batch of powerhouses to cultivate at those 9 inheritance stone tablets. Upon first encountering such an inheritance, the country lord of Zhaoguang made significant progress in the law fusion of the time law and the law of light, but his mind was still filled with many doubts. He had memorized a lot of the original fusion law's trajectories and content through secret inscriptions and carvings, but truly transforming them into comprehension still required a long period of understanding. Now, under the impetus of the river of time within this secret realm, those laws he had not fully comprehended were gradually being assimilated, becoming part of his strength. A universe overlord may not be far off. The rapid law fusion of the time law and the law of light filled the country lord of Zhaoguang with confidence about becoming a universe overlord. 10 days passed in a flash. The personnel from the Virtual Universe Company headquarters and the resources for building the secret realm had all arrived. However, because the secret realm had not yet fully stabilized, everyone stood outside the secret realm, observing its expansion and waiting for it to fully form. On this day, the expansion of the secret realm finally stopped. Qin Hao also rose from his throne in the void, took a step, and instantly vanished from his original spot. He reappeared at the very center of the secret realm. The fully formed secret realm covered an area of over 1 billion kilometers. The law power within the region became even more concentrated. A whirlwind region formed by the wind law, a lightning region formed by the law of thunder, and a light ray region formed by the law of light. There were also complex regions formed by various fusion laws, intertwined with each other, making the energy within the entire region extremely complex. Without a certain level of cultivation, it would be difficult to survive in this area. To transform such an extremely complex secret realm into one suitable for human comprehension and cultivation would require further development. If company personnel were to undertake this development, it might require champion and venerable level powerhouses to spend thousands of years meticulously organizing it. Moreover, these powerhouses would need to have a certain level of comprehension of wind, light, and thunder laws, time law, space law, and fusion laws. However, for Qin Hao, these challenges were much smaller. Chapter 303, Secret Realm Transformation. Chapter 303. Secret Realm Transformation. Standing in the center of the secret realm, Qin Hao's divine power rapidly emanated. The divine power of wind, thunder, and light, along with the power of the 3 laws and the time law, were quickly mobilized. At the same time, spatial divine power and law also began to emanate rapidly, directly enveloping the surroundings. As his divine power spread, Qin Hao took out various materials. These materials were all brought from the Virtual Universe Corporation this time, prepared for the construction of this secret realm. All the materials in Qin Hao's hands were quickly melted down, and law-secret inscriptions and patterns were engraved into them. The patterns and corresponding laws for each material were different. Soon, these materials were engraved and began to be shaped. Qin Hao's refining techniques were already extremely skilled. Refining heavy treasures was already quite easy for him. The artifacts he was refining now weren't even considered heavy treasures, so naturally, they were easily refined in his hands. After the refining was complete, array flags, each imbued with various laws, were directly thrown into different directions by Qin Hao. However, Qin Hao's refining did not stop there. The control center of the array, the monitoring center of the secret realm, the subregions within the secret realm, defensive measures, and so on, were all taken into consideration by Qin Hao. One by one, materials were melted by Qin Hao, transforming into shining divine weapons and various tools. Is this the power of the Star Palace Master? Watching Qin Hao continuously refine artifacts, the country lord of Zhaoguang felt deeply emotional. Although the transformation of the secret realm had not yet begun, the refining techniques Qin Hao displayed and the powerful divine power emanating from him already surprised him greatly. Although he was very far from the emanating divine power, he already felt immense pressure. And the aura of these various laws, how could one person comprehend so many laws and also acquire divine power of various attributes without any conflict? Compared to the country lord of Zhaoguang, the others were completely awed by the powerful divine power aura. The champion who had been sent by the Virtual Universe Corporation to guard the secret realm was now completely astonished. At present, his understanding of Qin Hao was still that of a king-level powerhouse, an existence whose strength was comparable to a venerable. However, the power Qin Hao displayed had exceeded his imagination. He was an utterly unreachable existence. He gradually understood why. After Qin Hao issued an order, the Virtual Universe Corporation had no dissenting voices, and everything was given the highest priority. It was precisely because of this that so many materials were transported directly in such a short time. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Qin Hao finished refining all the necessary array flags and structures, and began to transform the secret realm. His divine body began to expand rapidly, instantly reaching 100,000 kilometers. The colossal divine body stood in the very center of the secret realm, releasing divine power that continuously merged into the secret realm. The entire secret realm began to vibrate. The forces of wind, light, thunder, and time laws were steadily disrupted, bringing with them immense destructive power, making the entire secret realm seem as if it could collapse at any moment. Seeing this situation, Qin Hao paid no mind. His divine power, combined with the power of laws, continuously sorted out the environment of the entire secret realm. Within the secret realm, areas were segmented, and array flags were continuously integrated into the secret realm. Everything within the secret realm seemed to be placated. Powerful divine power continuously traversed through the secret realm. Each strand of divine power transformed into a massive river. The divine power within the river constantly shifted, sometimes condensing into divine power clones, or forming a giant divine power hand, or transforming into various tools, continuously transforming the entire secret realm. The entire secret realm began to change under the interference of divine power and laws. There were whirlwind areas formed entirely by the wind law, lightning areas formed by lightning, a light kingdom formed by light, a wind-time corridor formed by the wind-time law, a lightning pool formed by the thunder-time law, a river of time formed by the light-time law, and also a domain of time formed solely by the time law. After the areas were segmented, all the array flags were fully integrated into them, and various corridors, passages, pavilions, and control centers also directly merged into the secret realm. Furthermore, building upon the overall foundation, Qin Hao also connected all the areas together, forming a massive defensive zone. Although the transformation process seemed grand and sweeping, the detailed operations were by no means inferior. The segmentation of each area required not only violent division by divine power, but also extremely precise utilization of laws. The intricate fusion of laws and energy within the secret realm, to completely segment it without affecting the entire secret realm, required decomposition from the subtle aspects of the laws. With Qin Hao's divine power, the precise application of laws ensured that each area was completely separated while maintaining the balance of the entire secret realm, allowing it to continue evolving. This secret realm was different from most secret realms in the virtual universe. There were no special life forms or races yet. Even if there were scattered life planets within the regions, Qin Hao had already directly relocated them. The chaos in this area was not suitable for the survival of ordinary life. Now, this secret realm was more akin to a blessed land for accelerated cultivation. As for how it would operate in the future, how assessments and mission rewards would be handled, Qin Hao did not intend to directly interfere. The Virtual Universe Corporation had its own system and was already very proficient in these matters. Moreover, the areas Qin Hao segmented were only a very small portion. Most of the areas were still continuously evolving naturally. The truly safe areas were reserved for members below Undying, and those who had just stepped into the immortal level to comprehend, while other areas required self-exploration to enter. After all, those above Undying basically would not die. Even in chaotic environments, they could still survive. Experiencing the power of laws firsthand was also a method of cultivation for the Undying. In 3 days, Qin Hao completed the sorting and construction of the secret realm. The entire secret realm had undergone a complete transformation. A massive passage formed, leading directly to the core of the secret realm. At the core was a colossal pavilion, 1,000 jang tall, divided into 9 floors. The highest point was the control and monitoring center for the entire secret realm. Each floor below had large, empty areas, facilitating future transformations. The pavilion also had countless passages, connecting to various areas. Within each area, there were small buildings, available for cultivators to enter and comprehend. From the outside, the entire secret realm was enveloped by a mysterious power, and one could only enter through the passages. After completing the transformation of the secret realm, Qin Hao's divine body began to shrink rapidly, and then, with a direct teleportation, he vanished from the secret realm. Chapter 304, Arrangement and Departure. Seeing the changes in the mystical region before them, country lord of Zhaoguang, Hong, Luo, and the others were also shocked. Hong, in particular, had witnessed Qin Hao's rapid growth in strength during his early days. When he was on Earth, he quickly grew from a martial artist to a planetary level, and then surpassed himself to become the strongest on Earth. Furthermore, his strength grew beyond his imagination, even directly killing universe rank and territory lord rank powerhouses when he was still weak. During the Genius Battle, he overwhelmingly became the first, and in Primordial Chaos City, he comprehended the essence of time law and space law, becoming a disciple of Primordial Chaos City Lord, leaving behind the other geniuses of the same rank in the Genius Battle. Later, he quickly became a World Lord rank powerhouse, possessing king-level strength. However, even so, he had not expected Qin Hao to have grown to such a powerful extent. Is this still the Qin Hao from Earth? The shock brought by the 100,000-kilometer giant divine body and the immense divine power made him even more astonished by Qin Hao's strength. At this moment, he gradually understood Qin Hao's position in the Virtual Universe Corporation. No wonder country lord of Zhaoguang was so respectful to Qin Hao after his appearance. He had originally thought it was because of Primordial Chaos City Lord, but now it seemed it was entirely due to Qin Hao's own powerful strength. From now on, you two can cultivate in the River of Time area. No one will disturb you within 10,000 years. Qin Hao said to Hong and Luo, speaking to both of them and also to the other members of the Virtual Universe Corporation. At this moment, country lord of Zhaoguang also turned his attention to Hong and Luo. Luo was unfamiliar to him, but he knew Hong. Having comprehended time law and law of light to become a world lord, and having gained the recognition of the law of light source law, his strength was considered good among the many world lords in the primitive mystical region. Moreover, like Qin Hao, he came from an aboriginal planet, and his speed of growth to his current strength was already very fast. Among the geniuses of that generation, his cultivation was also among the top 5. Now, looking at Hong, country lord of Zhaoguang's thoughts began to stir. Such a genius was worth his effort. Coupled with Qin Hao's connection, he could also establish a certain relationship with this universe lord-level powerhouse. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. To be able to meet a genius of the way of time, it seems this trip was not in vain. Country lord of Zhaoguang said to Hong. Hong heard country lord of Zhaoguang's words and did not hesitate much, directly bowing down. Disciple Hong, please accept me as your disciple. Hong's performance surprised both country lord of Zhaoguang and Qin Hao. After all, such a straightforward apprenticeship made them marvel at Hong's decisiveness. Good, from now on, you will be my 89th direct disciple. Country lord of Zhaoguang happily agreed directly. After Hong bowed 3 times and kowtowed 9 times, the formal apprenticeship ceremony was completed. Qin Hao did not stop this. In the way of time, country lord of Zhaoguang was undoubtedly one of the strongest who had gone the furthest, and he was about to become a universe overlord. Becoming a top universe overlord in the future would not be a problem. To have survived for so long and become a universe exalt, country lord of Zhaoguang's survival ability and talent were not weak. Being stuck in the exalt realm was more due to not having a clear path. Now, with the fusion law's path inherited from Qin Hao, this group of ancient one-universe exalts and universe country lords would inevitably see their strength rapidly increase in a short period. Originally, Qin Hao had planned to introduce Hong to the Darkness Lord, but on one hand, Hong's talent had not been fully unleashed. Qin Hao planned to let Hong challenge the Illusion Sea soon. Now that his strength had reached the Universe Lord, and he had established a firm foothold within the ethnic group, even if Earth were exposed, he could completely protect it. With Country Lord of Zhaoguang's guidance, plus some backdoors he would open, there would be no problem with cultivation in terms of laws. Before becoming undying and even becoming a Universe Exalt, there was a clear path. Therefore, Qin Hao did not interfere with Hong's choice. A Universe Country Lord who had lived for a long time still had a lot of experience in teaching. Seeing that the two had completed their apprenticeship, Qin Hao had a brief conversation with them, then directly activated the God Kingdom teleportation and returned to the Star Palace. As for the various arrangements within the mystical region, Qin Hao had no interest in them. Quickly completing the construction of the mystical region was just a convenient act. At the same time, it was also because the mystical region was a good opportunity for the current Hong. At least before becoming undying, this was definitely an excellent place for cultivation. After returning to the Star Palace, Qin Hao did not stay long in the Star Palace, but directly teleported back to Earth. On Earth, Qin Hao still returned to the villa in Minju Community. The villa was still the same villa, but its interior had undergone multiple renovations. In addition to the original layout, many areas had been opened up by Qin Hao into small worlds or spaces. This villa was now mostly inhabited by Qin Hao. Qin Hao's parents occasionally lived here, but most of the time they no longer resided here. Besides the Qin family castle on Earth, they also traveled in various cosmic countries of the Ganwu Universe country, or stayed in the virtual universe. Having reached the World Lord rank, the two of them did not pay too much attention to cultivation. Their cultivation improvement was more about the accumulation of resources. To this day, their comprehension of laws was still very limited. Part of the reason for Qin Hao's return to Earth was also to take advantage of this period to raise their cultivation, at least to the immortal level, so they would no longer have to worry about lifespan issues. In the past 3,000 years, although Qin Hao had consciously guided their cultivation, he had focused more on his own cultivation, preparing to break through to Exalt. Now that the breakthrough was complete, it was time to accelerate their cultivation and prepare for becoming undying. Although even after breaking through, they would only be weaker existences among the undying. However, with some treasures he provided, it would not be a problem for them to survive even against some champion or even Exalt powerhouses. Thinking this, Qin Hao began to arrange things. It would take a long time for his parents to break through to undying with their aptitude. So Qin Hao prepared to utilize the Jianglan realm, taking it out, enlarging it, and placing it directly inside the inner world of the cultivation room. At the same time, he began to set up the third layer of space, making the clarity of the laws more distinct, and using powerful divine power to create a suitable place for cultivation, while also inscribing his comprehension of the laws. Qin Hao's parents currently comprehend the water law and law of wood, respectively. Qin Hao opened up cultivation areas for these two laws within the Jianglan realm to promote their cultivation of these two laws. Coupled with the input of various resources, it was entirely possible to accumulate two undying existences. Chapter 305, News about Luo Feng inside the Star Palace. Qin Hao watched Rokas's demonstration, nodding occasionally. In 500 years, Rokas's cultivation had progressed very smoothly. The fusion of Law of Light and Law of Fire was on track, and his comprehension of time law had also improved significantly. However, there wasn't much progress in the fusion of Law of Light, Law of Fire, and time law. As for the cultivation of the human gene map, with the promotion of Qin Hao's evolution secret technique, his gene level had now exceeded 10 times, reaching 15 times, which was already considered good in the primordial universe. The long sword in Rokas's hand was covered with scorching flames. The flames constantly emitted a burning aura, and even the light around the flames continuously changed, occasionally transforming into a fiery column, then quickly condensing into a heat ray that shot out, catching people off guard. Not bad, your fusion of law of fire and law of light is already good. Next is to comprehend it step by step. However, don't relax your comprehension of time law. The path of fusing law of light, law of fire, and time law is still too difficult for you, but you cannot give up trying. Qin Hao said to Rokas's path was already very clear. The cultivation of the 3 fusion laws was enough for him to become a strong individual in the primordial universe, and with new insights, it was not impossible for him to achieve true God status. Thank you, teacher. Rokas said respectfully, putting away his long sword. 500 years of cultivation had brought greater progress than his previous thousands of years, and his cultivation speed was also much faster. Although the fusion of law of fire and law of light had just begun, he had already felt the power of the fusion laws and understood his path. Continue your cultivation, Qin Hao said, then with a wave of his hand, Rokas was already back in the Sun God Temple. In 500 years, Rokas's cultivation was very smooth, and his comprehension of the 2 laws had reached its limit. He was already at the World Lord peak and could break through to undying at any time. However, Rokas was not in a hurry to break through. Instead, he used the World Lord rank's sensitivity to laws to accelerate the cultivation of fusion laws and time law. Furthermore, he also planned to begin the fusion of law of light with time law, and law of fire with time law during the World Lord stage. He also understood in his heart that only by laying a foundation in the World Lord stage could the subsequent path be easier. Moreover, with Qin Hao as his master, Rokas was very confident. To raise his gene level to 15 times in 500 years, in Rokas's view, was almost impossible, yet it truly happened. After returning to the Sun God Temple, Rokas directly entered cultivation. Qin Hao also returned to Earth, walking into the Jianglan realm in his home. Qin Hai and Wang Su had also been cultivating in the Jianglan realm for a considerable amount of time. Although each session was not long, they spent almost half a year cultivating in the Jianglan realm annually. To date, their cultivation time had exceeded 200,000 years, but their comprehension of laws was very limited, and they were still some distance from breaking through to undying. Qin Hao was also very helpless about this. After all, while Earthlings had certain talents in soul and temperament, not everyone's talent was extremely high. Most were just slightly stronger than other human race groups in the universe. As for cultivation talent, it was even more limited. The bloodline of Earthlings itself was at the bottom among the human race. Qin Hao had also applied the evolution secret technique to his parents to promote the improvement of their gene level, but it had only reached about 3 times so far. However, Qin Hai and Wang Su themselves did not have much interest in cultivation. They only cultivated under Qin Hao's urging after knowing that their son had become undying and could live forever. During this period, Qin Ying also returned to Earth for a while and was urged by Qin Hao to cultivate for some time. After her strength improved significantly, she directly went on a World Lord training. The cultivation talent of their children also made Qin Hai and Wang Su take cultivation a bit more seriously. After all, their son had already become undying, and their daughter would also become undying. The two indeed worked hard for a period, but the difficulty of comprehending laws still kept their progress from being very fast. Qin Hao later stopped paying attention to these matters, knowing that, for most world lords, the difficulty of comprehending laws was indeed like this. With the support of his own resources and inheritance, it was only a matter of time before his parents became undying. After understanding these things, Qin Hao no longer urged his parents' cultivation too anxiously, instead letting them arrange their own cultivation time. With the existence of the Jianglan realm, they had plenty of time to cultivate and comprehend. Sitting on the sofa in the living room, Qin Hao looked at the ceiling, his mind gradually relaxing. His entire state of mind returned to a state of tranquility and inaction, and he became very serene. For 500 years, Qin Hao did not deliberately comprehend laws or cultivate. More often, he focused on comprehending his state of mind and understanding himself. This state of comprehension allowed Qin Hao to form an extremely special connection with the primordial universe, as if he could resonate with it at any time, using the power of the universe, and as if he could instantly see through the laws of the universe's operation and the essence of laws. However, this state was more of an ethereal sensation, or rather, a resonance in his state of mind. In this state, although Qin Hao did not consciously comprehend laws, he constantly entered a state of vague enlightenment, and his laws made significant progress. Especially time law, which was already close to perfection, was now only a hair's breadth away. As long as Qin Hao wished, he could immediately fully comprehend it and break through to the universe Lord realm. Qin Hao was not in a hurry to break through. Instead, he continued his comprehension of fusion laws. Beyond wind space, the comprehension of fusion laws like light space, thunder space, gold time, wood time, water time, fire time, and earth time also rapidly improved. The progress of fire time and earth time, which he had already grasped, was particularly gratifying. Driven by this, Qin Hao made further progress in the fusion of light-fire time law, and the fusion of earth, time, and space laws caught up with the fusion of wind-space-time 3 laws. The improvement of fusion laws made Qin Hao no longer anxious to break through to become a universe lord, and he continued to maintain his comprehension of his state of mind. In the past few thousand years, too much time had been devoted to cultivation, and his overall state felt somewhat off. Beep, 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 beep. A message from the virtual universe woke Qin Hao from his tranquility. It's Luo Feng. Has he completed the inheritance already? He immediately opened the connection, and Luo Feng's figure appeared before him. At this moment, Luo Feng's entire state was in an extremely difficult condition, as if he could collapse at any moment. Qin Hao, I'm now entering the final stage of the inheritance. My soul might collapse at any time. I'm sending you this last message. Please take care of my family. After saying this, before Qin Hao could reply, Luo Feng's figure directly dissipated, and the virtual universe connection was also directly cut off. Chapter 306. Arriving at the Star Tower again as Luo Feng's figure vanished, Qin Hao felt a touch of worry. Luo Feng was currently undergoing a soul transformation within the Star Tower, and once completed, his future would be smooth sailing. With Zuo Shank as his teacher and the Star Tower, a top-tier divine king supreme treasure, Luo Feng's foundational path was complete. As long as he continued to improve, the path of a strong individual would be realized. However, the recent impact clearly showed that Luo Feng had reached his limit. Although Qin Hao knew Luo Feng would succeed, he still felt some concern. It seems I still need to make a trip to the Star Tower, Qin Hao decided. His current strength had already reached that of a Universe Lord, and he could break through at any time to become a true Universe Lord, with his strength directly reaching the level of a 6th-order Universe Master. Now, facing Zuo Shank, Qin Hao also had some confidence. Equal strength provided an opportunity for equal exchange. With that thought, Qin Hao directly condensed a divine power clone to stand guard over the Star Palace and Earth. Although it was just a clone, the power it could wield reached the level of a First-Order Universe Lord, ensuring no danger within the human race's territory. After the clone was condensed, Qin Hao instantly teleported away from Earth, arriving in the Star Palace, and directly instructed his enslaved subordinates to activate a Divine Kingdom teleportation into the Star Tower area. Many of his servants were enslaved in the Star Tower area and had tokens there, allowing them to enter the Star Tower area at any time. In the center of a desolate planet within a barren starfield in the Star Tower area, a slight ripple appeared, and 2 figures emerged within the internal space of the planet. Master, we have reached the Star Tower area. This location is 100 light-years from the Star Tower. The monster race champion Dragon King Q Long Wang respectfully told Qin Hao. Qin Hao nodded slightly, then directly put Dragon King Q Long Wang back into the purple cloud palace and instantly vanished from his spot, quickly moving towards the Star Tower area. Since becoming a venerable and fully comprehending space law, Qin Hao's teleportation range had expanded significantly. coupled with his powerful divine power and his insights into fusion laws, teleportation had become Qin Hao's fastest means of travel, far surpassing even flying in a spaceship. The 100 light-year distance was quickly covered by Qin Hao's continuous teleportation, bringing him to the Star Tower area. From the entrance at the bottom of the tower, Qin Hao directly entered the Star Tower. A Universe Lord has entered the Star Tower. In the core of the Star Tower, a purple-bearded serpent man exclaimed. At the same time, after quickly relaying the message to Zuo Shank, he began to activate the Star Tower to attack Qin Hao, who had entered. After entering the Star Tower, Qin Hao's speed did not slow down in the slightest. He continued to advance rapidly within the Star Tower. As a divine King Supreme treasure, the Star Tower was incredibly powerful, but in its masterless state, Qin Hao was confident in entering. However, Qin Hao had evidently forgotten about the existence of Lord Pewdie. The surrounding space began to vibrate, and sealing stars emerged from space, attacking Qin Hao. The vast number of sealing stars required Qin Hao to deal with them carefully. The fusion laws of wind law and space law were directly activated. A gentle breeze blew, and the surrounding sealing stars vanished, being transferred hundreds of millions of kilometers away. At the same time, Qin Hao continued to advance rapidly, pushing quickly into the inner area of the Star Tower. Qin Hao was not confident about entering the core area of the Star Tower, but his purpose was very simple: to create some commotion and attract Zuo Shank. Although Lord Pewdie was the guardian of the Star Tower, he could not fully control its power, and simple attacks could only briefly obstruct. For a stable, strong individual like Qin Hao, who had achieved a very high level of comprehension in various fusion laws, such obstruction was very limited. Furthermore, Qin Hao had strong insights into both artifact refining and array formations. If he wished, he could control those sealing stars at any time. It seems a bit tricky. I need to intervene and wait for Master to arrive. Lord Pewdie said, his figure also vanishing and appearing inside the Star Tower, on Qin Hao's path forward. As the guardian of the Star Tower, his role was very simple: to guard the Star Tower and test the inheritors. For a long time, only king-level existences, which were like ants to him, came and went within the Star Tower. Thousands of years ago, a human world lord actually entered the Star Tower and received the inheritance, becoming a disciple preordained by his teacher. Now, he had entered the final stage of the inheritance assessment, and he was waiting. He had not expected that at this moment, a human race universe lord would enter the Star Tower area. Human Star Palace Master, this is not a place for you to be. Retreat now, and I will pretend you never appeared. Lord Pewdie stood in the void, his massive serpent tail constantly striking the space, causing ripples to appear intermittently. With these ripples, even time itself seemed to vibrate. When Qin Hao saw the purple-bearded serpent man before him, he recognized his identity. Zuo Shank's eldest disciple, Lord Pewdie, a fourth-order universe lord. He also had a clone in the human race, Tai Pu, possessing the strength of a top-tier universe overlord. It was the existence of this clone that allowed Lord Pewdie to know Qin Hao's identity, and that he was a newly rising universe lord of the human race, a genius who had not cultivated for long. I'm not here to see you. I'm here to see your teacher, Qin Hao told Lord Pewdie. Hearing Qin Hao's words, Lord Pewdie was momentarily stunned. His teacher's identity was very secretive in the universe, and their relationship was rarely known. Now, this human race strong individual had directly revealed it. This caused Lord Pewdie to ponder, and at the same time his aura involuntarily erupted. He then directly attacked Qin Hao, his serpent tail instantly lengthening, like a spear, thrusting towards Qin Hao. As it thrust out, the surrounding space and time seemed to completely halt. The moment Lord Pewdie attacked, Qin Hao also rapidly unleashed his divine power. Powerful law energy permeated the area. The fusion laws of wind law, time law, and space law, combined with divine power, transformed into gentle breezes, sweeping through the surrounding area and bringing it entirely under his control. After the serpent tail pierced into the area of the gentle breeze, its speed began to rapidly slow down. The surrounding divine power and the serpent tail continuously collided, the surrounding space constantly shattered, and time directly became chaotic. The serpent tail's speed became erratic, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, and the sharp blades formed by the surrounding wind law also became erratic, forming small whirlwinds that continuously collided with Lord Puty's serpent tail. Chapter 307, The Mountain Dweller. Chapter 307. Zuo Shank. This was Qin Hao's first time clashing with a Universe Lord, so he was extremely cautious. Most Universe Lords followed the path of comprehending time law and space law to achieve their status, which was a relatively clear path in the primordial universe. Another was the Beast God path, where one could fully comprehend fusion laws and the Beast God heart, also becoming a Universe Lord. Now, this was Qin Hao's first official battle against a Universe Lord, and a fourth-rank Universe Master at that. With every attack, Qin Hao dared not hold back the slightest. His powerful God power and his insights into the laws were fully unleashed, as he continuously clashed with Lord Puty. Under normal combat, Qin Hao's current strength was only enough for self-preservation. Moreover, Qin Hao also noticed that Lord Puty wasn't using his full power. He seemed to be primarily testing Qin Hao's strength. For one, he hadn't burned his God power, nor had he brought out a true treasure. As Zuo Shank's disciple, Qin Hao didn't believe that Lord Puty lacked true treasures. After all, Qin Hao, a junior disciple, and Yan Emperor both possessed quite a few true treasures. On the other hand, the secret technique Lord Puty was currently employing seemed to Qin Hao to be simple applications of laws, relying more on immense strength to achieve powerful destructive force, with few truly profound applications of laws. This was abnormal. As a former disciple of a god king, even without extensive guidance, his understanding of law applications should not be too low. As their battle continued, Qin Hao gradually felt less strained and more at ease. Qin Hao's strength was already comparable to a fourth-rank Universe Master, and over the past few centuries, his comprehension of laws had deepened. He could apply various laws with effortless skill. In contrast to Qin Hao's ease, Lord Puty was feeling a bit frustrated. He had initially held the upper hand in the battle, his formidable strength making it difficult for the Star Palace Master before him to parry. However, he hadn't expected this human Star Palace Master to have comprehended multiple laws. The application of these various laws exceeded his expectations. The 8 great laws, the 2 higher laws, and various fusion laws, even quite a few fusions of 3 laws, all left him feeling surprised. Is this really a human who has cultivated for only about 10,000 years? Lord Puty couldn't help but wonder. He had never seen such a powerful individual with such a profound accumulation of laws, even among those who had existed for countless years. Now, one had appeared before him, and so young at that. Moreover, he also realized that the person before him was treating him as a sparring partner, constantly experimenting with various secret techniques. One moment it was a whirlwind stirring space-time, the next a powerful Mount Tai pressing down, then a misty illusion, and then a fire line fused with multiple laws. Even if it couldn't cause him any harm, it left him overwhelmed and flustered. Just as Lord Puty was about to increase his power and vent his anger, the surrounding space-time seemed to instantly freeze. Everything within the Star Tower was brought to a standstill. Along with the frozen space-time, a figure appeared in the center of their battlefield. The chaotic law energies, the clashing god power, and the damaged space gradually dissipated and recovered. At this moment, Qin Hao also clearly saw the newcomer. An elder, approximately 90,000 kilometers tall, faintly emanating black light all over his body, wearing seemingly ordinary blue armor with a pair of crystal-clear horns on his forehead. It was precisely God King Jin reincarnated, Zuo Shank. After Zuo Shank appeared, he smoothed out everything around him, then instantly teleported in front of Qin Hao, examining him with interest. Qin Hao realized at this moment that the person before him was Zuo Shank, but his body was difficult to move. At this point, Qin Hao couldn't help but sigh inwardly. He had still underestimated Zhuo Shank. Although he was confident that even if he couldn't fight a true god, he wouldn't be easily controlled. However, the strength Zhuo Shank displayed now far exceeded Qin Hao's expectations. Even with the restrictions of the primordial universe, where the power of a sixth-order universe master was already top tier, the former god King Jin still possessed various means. However, Qin Hao didn't give up. The god power within his body began to rapidly release, simultaneously burning intensely. His nearly 2 million-kilometer god body instantly manifested fully, with flames of burning god power enveloping his entire body, directly shattering the frozen time and space around him. That's truly strange. You should also be from Earth, but how did you break the primordial universe's perfect gene limit? And you've already surpassed the first stage of the perfect divine body. Zhuo Shank remained very calm, not overly surprised by the powerful force Qin Hao unleashed. However, he was more curious about Qin Hao's strength. A 2 million-kilometer god body had already entered the second layer of the battle arena of the god power route, even he hadn't broken through it yet. Although he had created the 9 Tribulations Secret Codex, he hadn't gone very far on the god power route, or rather, he hadn't even embarked on the god power route, choosing the law route instead. After all, with his previous life's comprehension of laws, the law route was the fastest path for him in this life. The reason he hadn't left the primordial universe was primarily because he hadn't found suitable helpers to assist him in his revenge. After all, his enemies were existences at the god-king level. Rushing back might result in him losing even the chance to start over. He had experimented many times on Earth and failed many times. Now hope was right before him. Luo Feng, currently undergoing trials in the Star Tower, was the helper he had chosen for himself. Now, another person had appeared, someone completely unexpected. Still of Earthian bloodline, but the power he erupted with, his application and comprehension of laws, and his formidable god body, all undoubtedly revealed the extraordinary nature of the person before him. Then should I call you Star Palace Master, Hurricane King, Purple Cloud Palace Master Tei, or Qin Hao? Zhuo Shank was very clear about Qin Hao's identity and couldn't help but ask directly, revealing Qin Hao's identities. Then should I call you Zhuo Shank, Blood Cloud Palace Master, or... Qin Hao's figure gradually shrank, becoming the same height as Zhuo Shank, as he mimicked Zhuo Shank's tone and spoke Zhuo Shank's 2 identities. God King Jin. As the last words fell, the light in Zhuo Shank's eyes suddenly became sharp. The identity of God King Jin was arguably his greatest secret. He was confident no one knew, and the primordial universe certainly wouldn't know its significance. Now, to hear these 4 words from the mouth of an earthling, though the tone was light, Zhuo Shank knew that Qin Hao was very certain of this identity of his. Don't be so nervous. Since I came to see you and confirmed your identity, I naturally know your plans. We have no conflict of interest. On the contrary, we have a common goal. Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio. Chapter 308. Transaction with the Mountain Visitor inside the Star Tower. Qin Hao and Zhuo Shank were both observing the person before them. Qin Hao's understanding of Zhuo Shank was limited to some information from the original novel, most of which was no longer very clear. Looking at the former God-King expert before him, who had existed in the primordial universe for countless years, and whose current displayed strength was only at the true God realm, it was far from as simple as it appeared on the surface. It was like a max-level boss returning to a beginner village, mostly playing a game of life in the primordial universe while searching for potential individuals who could assist him in the future. Zhuo Shank was even more curious about Qin Hao. How could a genius from the primordial universe grow so rapidly, embark on the god power route, and progress so far on the law path? His talent in fusion laws also exceeded Zhuo Shank's expectations. Let's go, come in and have a chat, Zhuo Shank finally said helplessly. For a former god king, even after being killed, he still had countless backup plans. Not only did he revive through reincarnation, but he was also continuously searching for helpers to exact his revenge. Throughout this process, Zhuo Shank was extremely cautious, wanting to bring everything under his control, but nothing was as simple as he had imagined. Finding suitable candidates from the primordial universe was like sifting for gold in a vast sea. Hence, the existence of Earth and Yan Emperor was also to create a powerful expert with potential. Luo Feng, who was currently receiving the inheritance, was one candidate, and the now appearing Qin Hao was undoubtedly another. However, compared to Luo Feng, Qin Hao was completely outside his control and he couldn't see through him at all. Deep within the Star Tower, Zhuo Shank and Qin Hao sat opposite each other on a green peak. Neither spoke, both carefully calculating. Finally, Qin Hao decided to break the silence. His purpose this time was very clear: to ascertain Luo Feng's condition, with no other major demands. As for Zhuo Shank, Qin Hao intended to keep their interaction relatively shallow. Zhuo Shank's existence would merely serve as a guide if he were to go to the origin continent in the future, allowing him to learn more about the origin continent's situation. I came this time first to meet with Senior, and second, to see Luo Feng. Luo Feng should be undergoing trials in the Star Tower right now. I wonder what stage he's reached. Qin Hao asked directly, as there was nothing to hide about this objective. There should be a result within 500 years. Zhuo Shank said, waving his hand, and Luo Feng's figure appeared before Qin Hao. At this moment, Luo Feng was filled with pain, his entire being taut. This pain did not originate from his body, but from his soul. Qin Hao could clearly feel Luo Feng's soul undergoing extreme changes. However, amidst the changes, Qin Hao also sensed a different aura, a hint of the visualization method. It seemed Qin Hao had already completed the visualization method. This soul transformation would likely benefit Luo Feng even more than he imagined. With a resilient soul and the visualization method, Luo Feng's soul might undergo unexpected changes, and even comprehending the beast god heart in the future would be much easier. Qin Hao nodded slightly to Zhuo Shank, and Luo Feng's figure vanished from their sight. Qin Hao felt much more relaxed at this moment. I want to make a deal with you, Zhuo Shank said at this moment, his eyes fixed on Qin Hao, observing his reaction. Qin Hao was not surprised by this. He had even anticipated the content of Zhuo Shank's desired transaction. It was certainly related to his future plans on the origin continent, and he was preparing to enlist Qin Hao as a helper. Qin Hao had no intention of refusing. After all, he and Zhuo Shank now had a certain connection, and it would be difficult to completely sever ties upon entering the origin continent. Moreover, Zhuo Shank possessed many things that Qin Hao currently needed. Refining secret technique, insights into laws, information about the god power route, all were things Qin Hao wished to acquire. However, things could not be rushed. Please speak. Qin Hao directly handed the initiative to Zhuo Shank, waiting for him to state the terms of the transaction. I want to exchange for your help in the future, and you can state your conditions. I can clearly tell you that the enemies you may face in the future will be extremely powerful. The prerequisite for your assistance is that you possess sufficient strength. If your strength is insufficient, the condition is void, Zhuo Shank said directly, without much concealment. After all, future matters involved life and death. If there were any concealments now, the chances of being backstabbed in the future would be extremely high. Instead, it was better to propose it forthrightly. Zhuo Shank believed he had enough trump cards to make Qin Hao willing to trade with him. I want your refining method. To Zhuo Shank's surprise, Qin Hao directly stated his condition without any hesitation. Good. Zhuo Shank directly took out a jade slip and handed it to Qin Hao. Looking at the jade slip in his hand, Qin Hao examined it. It was also refined by Zhuo Shank, reaching the level of a supreme treasure in quality, with some similarities to the heavenly soul crystal, both used for storing inheritances. When Senior needs me to fulfill the agreement, you can contact me directly. I imagine Senior has a way to contact me directly, Qin Hao said to Zhuo Shank, putting away the jade slip. He was thrilled to obtain Zhuo Shank's refining method, God King Jin, an existence among god kings skilled in refining, capable of refining divine king supreme treasure. Although he couldn't yet understand many of the refining methods, and even couldn't perform them in the primordial universe, having a reference would further improve his own refining methods, allowing him to progress further and get closer to refining supreme treasure. Finally, I'll give you a piece of news. One of your clones should be encountering trouble soon. After completing the transaction, Zuo Shank relaxed. He said to Qin Hao with interest, his tone carrying a peculiar meaning. From the moment they met, Zuo Shank had been in a passive state, and now he could turn the tables. Upon hearing Zuo Shank's words, Qin Hao was filled with surprise. Very few people knew about his clones, and even those who did only knew about a few of them. Yet, Zuo Shank was so certain now. That clone of yours is too high profile, too bloodthirsty. The monster race is already planning to mobilize powerful experts to target him, Zuo Shank said, relaying the intelligence he had obtained one by one. At this moment, Qin Hao also knew that Zuo Shank was referring to his third clone, Destroyer, whom he had sent outside the human race territory for training. Most of the time, he was engaged in slaughter, provoking many cosmic races. Chapter 309, A Plan to Turn the Tide. Chapter 309. Playing along after leaving the Star Tower, Qin Hao did not immediately return to the Star Palace. During his conversation with Zuo Shank, besides learning about the dangers his clones currently faced, Qin Hao also consulted Zuo Shank on some cultivation problems. With such an accomplished expert, a peak level one at that, right before him, Qin Hao naturally wanted to gain a clearer understanding of his future path through him, using it as a reference for his cultivation. As for the clone issue, there was still some time to prepare. Zuo Shank also revealed a lot of information during their conversation. Among Qin Hao's 3 clones, the most brutal was the third clone Destroyer, whose current explosive power could rival a Universe Lord. Coupled with its innate secret technique, it could even temporarily resist a Universe Lord. Moreover, the races targeting the third clone this time were the Monster Race, Automaton Race, and Insect Race, with each of the 3 races gathering 1 Universe Lord, 1 Universe Overlord, and several Venerables. Such a number of powerful experts would require Qin Hao to be cautious, even if he faced them himself. However, with preparations in place now, it gave Qin Hao a lot of room to maneuver. Qin Hao also planned to use this opportunity to re-establish his presence among the various races. After resolving this matter, he would directly prepare to break through to the Universe Lord realm. At that time, the room for maneuver might be even greater. Outside the Star Tower, Qin Hao directly used Divine Kingdom teleportation via his enslaved subordinates to appear in the Monster Race's territory. At the same time, the Monster Race champions in the Purple Cloud Palace were also released by Qin Hao, each carrying Qin Hao's token, allowing Qin Hao to teleport anywhere within the Monster Race's territory at any time. Subsequently, Qin Hao went to the Automaton Race and the Insect Race respectively, scattering his servants. With these servants, he also had some eyes and ears within the 3 races and could gather a lot of information about the Monster Race. After all, many of these enslaved servants were core members and royalty of the 3 races, so the news they could obtain was very well informed. Qin Hao also planned to use this opportunity to cause some chaos among the forces of the 3 races. Finally, Qin Hao returned directly to the Monster Race's territory to search for his third clone Destroyer. The third clone's strength was already very formidable, and it had become even more reckless. Its every-time killings were never concealed, and its whereabouts were extremely secretive. The Monster Race, Automaton Race, and Insect Race were merely the 3 races most frequently cared for. The Destroyer also had many misdeeds among other races. Besides slaughter, there were various challenges, starting from king-level immortals, then venerables, and later some overlord-level experts. The Destroyer could be said to act without any restraint. In the Monster Race territory, on Feiyu Star, Qin Hao walked among the mountains and forests, constantly observing his surroundings. Feiyu Star was a life planet where the avian monster race gathered, home to many powerful experts, and was a planet similar to the human race's universe country main planet for the monster race. The owner of the planet was a venerable level existence, commanding hundreds of king-level immortals and tens of thousands of undying, an expert under the monster race's Lord of Meng Wan. Furthermore, the location of Feiyu Star was also very special, belonging to the area adjacent to the monster race, insect race, and automaton race, and it also gathered many powerful experts from the three races. This was also the target for the great battle Qin Hao intended to instigate this time. Qin Hao, I didn't expect you to arrive so quickly. Just as Qin Hao was observing his surroundings, a figure appeared beside Qin Hao, speaking to him in a very casual tone. The trouble you've stirred up this time is not small. The three races have probably already made preparations and are ready to act at any moment. They should have a rough idea of your current location, and as soon as you expose your whereabouts, a large number of powerful experts should immediately gather. Qin Hao explained the situation the destroyer was facing. Although Qin Hao had 3 clones, the relationship between the clones and the main body was very different from other clone models. All 3 clones were Qin Hao, but each had its own consciousness and personality, representing an aspect of Qin Hao's character. Under normal circumstances, Qin Hao would not try to probe the thoughts of his other 3 clones. He would only occasionally exchange cultivation insights to accelerate each other's cultivation. What are you planning to do this time? Play along. Since they want to make a move, let them. Take this opportunity to stir up some trouble for the insect race, monster race, and automaton race. Qin Hao said confidently to the destroyer, without the slightest hint of anxiety. Even though he was in the monster race's territory, Qin Hao was confident that he could quickly retreat after resolving the issue. Prepare to act. First, deal with Venerable Feiyu to attract all the people from the 3 races. After Qin Hao finished speaking, his figure vanished from the spot, entering the Zhonglan realm. The Zhonglan realm then transformed into a speck of dust, adhering to the destroyer's body. The destroyer did not hesitate, directly arriving outside Feiyu Star, its body rapidly expanding. Its massive divine body quickly swelled to a colossal size of 90,000 kilometers, directly obscuring the sky of Feiyu Star. Someone's causing trouble. On the largest bird's nest on Feiyu Star, inside a huge divine palace, Venerable Feiyu, covered in golden feathers, sensed the commotion outside the planet and swiftly vanished from his spot. At the same time, everyone on the entire planet involuntarily looked outside the planet. Undying-level experts quickly gathered, flying out of Feiyu Star, and as they looked at the gigantic figure before them, each of them couldn't help but tremble slightly. The 90,000-kilometer divine body and surging divine power made everyone feel a sense of despair. The only one who remained relatively calm was the Venerable Feiyu leading them. You actually dare to appear again, wantonly destroying and killing within my monster race. Today is your doomsday. As Venerable Feiyu spoke, the divine power on his body rapidly burned, and his feathers transformed into streaks of flying swords, directly attacking the destroyer. Petty tricks. The destroyer was unhurried, casually blowing a breath from its mouth. A massive whirlwind swiftly swept up all the feathers, and the divine power quickly shattered the flying swords. Venerable Feiyu, as an ancient venerable-level expert of the monster race, was among the first tier below universe overlords in terms of strength. However, facing the destroyer, his attacks had no effect whatsoever. Seeing this situation, Venerable Feiyu dared not slack off in the slightest. One after another, sealing stars were spat out from Venerable Feiyu's mouth. 12 sealing stars formed a star chain, directly encircling the destroyer. He hadn't expected that the method used by the main body and the first clone to trap and kill enemies would actually be used against him by others. However, the destroyer wasn't overly worried. He hadn't planned to end the battle immediately. The others hadn't appeared yet, and the goal for this time had not been achieved. Chapter 310, A Helping Hand. Chapter 310, Reinforcement. The destroyer's 90,000-kilometer divine body was outside Feiyu Star, continuing its confrontation with Venerable Feiyu. The 12 sealing stars surrounding him, controlled by Venerable Feiyu, were space-locking the surrounding space, preventing the destroyer from breaking through in a short time. Although the star chain formed by the 12 sealing stars possessed considerable power, it couldn't completely restrict the destroyer's movements. Under Qin Hao's control, the wind, light, and thunder laws, and time law, along with divine power, continuously attacked Feiyu Star directly through the gaps in the star chain. Even after being weakened by the star chain, the remaining power of each attack was still beyond what the Undying on Feiyu Star could resist. In a short time, most of the champions on Feiyu Star had died, and the remaining tens of thousands of Undying also suffered heavy casualties. Damn fellow, when the Lord of Meng Wan arrives, it will be your death day, Venerable Feiyu thought with hatred, his entire focus now on manipulating the 12 sealing stars. Although the sealing star was only a heavy treasure, its power was not to be underestimated, and full control was extremely difficult. Venerable Feiyu could only barely control it. Trapping the destroyer was already an extremely difficult task, and completely restricting the destroyer's movements was almost impossible. At this moment, he also recognized the disparity between himself and the destroyer before him. This was undoubtedly a top-tier universe overlord-level existence. Normally, if he encountered such a strong opponent, he would have already burned his divine power and fled. Now, what sustained him was the monster race's subsequent reinforcements. After the destroyer appeared, Venerable Feiyu had already contacted the Lord of Meng Wan. However, the monster race did not have an existence like the human race's virtual universe, so message transmission was far from as fast. Currently, they were still relying on methods temporarily provided by the automaton race for communication. Venerable Feiyu could only try his best to stall for time, awaiting the Lord of Meng Wan's arrival. At this moment, the destroyer also seemed to sense the unusual situation. The divine power on his body began to burn, and the surging power even caused the star chain formed by the sealing star to become unstable, as if it could be breached at any moment. Everyone, burn your divine power and inject it into the star chain. Venerable Feiyu commanded his surviving subordinates while burning his own divine power. At this point, relying solely on his power was already difficult to completely restrict the destroyer's movements. Now, all forces needed to be gathered. This time, to deal with the destroyer, the monster race, insect race, and automaton race had put in a great deal of effort, setting up arrangements on dozens of main stars based on the destroyer's movements. They not only left behind heavy treasures and ultimate treasures sufficient to restrict the destroyer, but also gathered tens of thousands of Undying, as well as sufficiently powerful Venerables, to stall for time. Now, Venerable Feiyu also had no other options. Facing such a powerful opponent, fighting alone was a dead end. In the past few millennia, many Venerables had fallen into the destroyer's hands, and there were even universe overlord-level powerhouses. It was precisely for this reason that the three races concentrated their forces, hoping to eliminate this hidden danger directly. The best outcome would be to enslave the destroyer directly. If such a powerful individual could be enslaved, his future achievements would be enough to compensate for the losses. If not, they would kill him directly. The death of every powerful individual left behind a large amount of wealth, treasures, and even the powerful individual's body, all of which were rare treasures. Just like the 8 beast gods in the past, what led to their demise was their very existence. Time was passing quickly, and the expressions of Venerable Feiyu and others grew increasingly grim. The immense 90,000-kilometer divine body, burning divine power, unleashed unimaginable and more sustained power. Although Venerable Feiyu was a veteran Venerable, his divine body was much smaller than the destroyer's, and even with the numerous Undying behind him, it was merely a drop in the bucket. Why haven't they arrived yet, if they don't come soon? Venerable Feiyu hesitated at this moment. If it was just about stalling for time, he had no problem. However, when it came to risking his life, he felt a bit hesitant. Also hesitating were the many undying-level powerhouses behind venerable Feiyu. The monster race itself was a race where the strong were respected, and the cohesion between races was also the rule of the strong, which led to every powerful individual hesitating at critical moments of life and death. Many of these undying had grown up under oppression, and after growing up, they began to oppress other weaker individuals. The result was that within the entire racial system, loyalty was a luxury. There was only the strict hierarchy established by long-term oppression and the inner obedience to the strong. Are you ready to be destroyed? The destroyer's struggle suddenly ceased, and the aura on his body began to condense, making him appear utterly insane. Now, he no longer thought about any plans. His only desire was to destroy everyone and kill all the monster race members before him. As Qin Hao's third clone, and the most insane one, slaughter was his nature, and also the destroyer's nature. It was only under Qin Hao's influence that he would control it slightly. This was also why Qin Hao allowed the destroyer to enter the territories of other races, so that he could be released slightly when he couldn't be controlled. Powerful forces continuously condensed, the power of wind, light, and thunder laws, and time law gathered, and divine power condensed to the extreme. Destroy. With a roar from the destroyer, a beam of light filled with destructive power shot out directly. The powerful beam of light directly pierced through the light screen formed by the sealing star chain. After the beam shot out, it directly annihilated everything around it. Along the path of this beam of light, the divine power of the hit undying began to rapidly dissipate and annihilate. The weaker ones were even directly obliterated, while the slightly stronger ones quickly severed their divine bodies to save their lives. After one beam of light, the destroyer's attacks became even more reckless. Beams of light continuously shot out, and the surrounding undying constantly fell. Many beams of light directly landed on Feiyu Star. The once prosperous planet had been completely destroyed by the direct impact of the light beams. Venerable Feiyu's eyes widened in fury as he witnessed everything before him. Feiyu Star was his home base, and the powerful individuals around him were all his subordinates. Their continuous deaths and the destruction of the planet meant that rebuilding would take an unknown amount of time. Destroyer, go to hell. Venerable Feiyu controlled the sealing star to directly crash into the destroyer. At this moment, he no longer just wanted to trap the destroyer. He now only wanted to directly kill this fellow, who had destroyed everything he had. His entire divine power burned, and the powerful divine power controlled the sealing star, simultaneously rushing towards the destroyer at the very center. Chapter 311, Arrival. Chapter 311. Arrival. As one of the ancient venerables of the monster race, Venerable Feiyu burned his divine power, unleashing his full strength. Even a universe overlord would not dare to be negligent. Now, with the added boost from the star chain formed by the 12 sealing stars, the space around the destroyer was completely controlled, forcing him to face Venerable Feiyu's attack head-on. If an ordinary universe overlord faced such an attack, even if he managed to block it, he would suffer some damage, and his divine body might even be severely damaged. However, the one he faced now was Qin Hao's third clone, the Destroyer. His powerful divine power, divine body, and mastery of laws far surpassed that of an average venerable. The moment Venerable Feiyu charged, the Destroyer instantly fused the wind, light, and thunder laws before his eyes. His surging divine power directly formed a domain filled with destructive power. Within this domain, the wind, thunder, and light laws permeated, and his divine power operated based on a secret technique developed from the Destroyer's innate secret technique, destruction. Every ray of light, whirlwind, and bolt of lightning was filled with destructive power. The moment Venerable Feiyu entered the domain, everything around him seemed to freeze. What followed was a chaotic storm that directly swept over Venerable Feiyu. The destructive power continuously and rapidly annihilated the Destroyer's divine body. even a venerable-level powerhouse, facing the destroyer's powerful attack, lost his former splendor. The flames formed by burning divine power continuously extinguished, and his feathers became disheveled, then disappeared. In less than 10 breaths of time after entering the domain, the high and mighty venerable Feiyu became like a scruffy bird. At this moment, venerable Feiyu also sobered up from his anger. He wanted to escape, but there was no longer any chance. The powerful force within the domain rapidly consumed venerable Feiyu's divine power. Coupled with the consumption from venerable Feiyu burning his divine body, in a short period, 1/3 of venerable Feiyu's divine body had been annihilated. Ah, 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 screams rang out as venerable Feiyu desperately resisted the surrounding forces. The undying and champion powerhouses around him had also lost all will to fight, and some with wavering resolve had even initiated divine kingdom teleportation to escape. The destroyer did not pay attention to this. His target this time was not them. Moreover, even if these people left now, they would be purged by the monster race. After completely controlling venerable Feiyu, the destroyer also focused on the 12 sealing stars around him. Divine power integrated into the sealing stars, continuously eroding the internal divine power imprints and soul imprints, preparing to directly seize the 12 sealing stars. Just at this moment, a powerful divine power fluctuation formed at the original location of Feiyu Star, and ripples appeared in space. Subsequently, figures emerged. Leading them was a peculiar flying beast made of gray bones. Its enormous size and the strange light in its eyes involuntarily sent shivers down one's spine. They're here. The destroyer felt the approaching figures, and the domain power around the destroyer rapidly erupted, directly sweeping towards venerable Feiyu. How dare you? A furious roar echoed, and then the surrounding space-time seemed to stop for an instant. Subsequently, a figure appeared within the destroyer's domain, rescuing venerable Feiyu from it, Lord of Mengwan. The destroyer and Qin Hao, hidden within the Jianglan realm, had recognized the arriving monster race powerhouse. The Lord of Mengwan, as a universe lord of the monster race, was a flying beast and venerable Feiyu's direct universe lord. Venerable Feiyu had also been waiting for this Lord of Mengwan. Under the Lord of Mengwan's rescue, venerable Feiyu's life was temporarily saved. His destroyed divine body began to gradually recover, but it would still take a considerable amount of time to fully recover. My true body, the big fish has taken the bait. You can come out now, the destroyer transmitted to Qin Hao. The appearance of the Lord of Mengwan made the destroyer cautious. His current strength could, to a certain extent, be comparable to a universe lord, but only comparable. Against a universe lord, he could only ensure his survival. Furthermore, behind the Lord of Mengwan were a large number of monster race personnel, among whom the destroyer had already seen one universe overlord and numerous universe exalts. Facing such a formation, the destroyer would only be suppressed. However, for Qin Hao, the current Lord of Mengwan was only one of the targets this time. Or rather, the universe overlords and universe exalts behind the Lord of Mengwan were the true targets. After all, within the monster race's territory, it was difficult to deal with a universe lord in a short period. If it couldn't be resolved, it might attract a gathering of monster race powerhouses. Hearing Qin Hao's words, the destroyer also became serious, his gaze towards the Lord of Mengwan filled with vigilance. The domain power around his body rapidly retracted, forming a dreamlike veil that enveloped Qin Hao's divine body. Facing a universe lord, for the destroyer, the biggest threat was not the universe lord's secret technique, but his control over space-time. The destroyer's primary higher laws was time law, which was still a sliver away from completion. There was a significant gap in his ability to contend with a universe lord's time law and space law. Destroyer, I'm giving you a chance now. Join my monster race, and I can spare your life. Open your mind and accept my enslavement. After the Lord of Mengwan rescued venerable Feiyu, he stared at the destroyer, his tone full of ill will. What greeted him was a destructive beam from the destroyer, which shot directly towards the Lord of Mengwan's face. Be careful. This destructive beam can directly annihilate a divine body. Venerable Feiyu quickly reminded him from the side. He had truly experienced the strangeness of this destructive beam. Even with his full resistance, he still couldn't completely block the destructive power of the beam. He could only sacrifice a portion of his divine body to avoid the effects of the destructive power. Hearing Venerable Feiyu's words, the Lord of Meng Wan showed some curiosity. A gray bone shot out from his body, colliding with the destructive beam. The moment they collided, the gray bone seemed to have never existed, being directly annihilated by the beam. What a strange attack. Even the Lord of Meng Wan couldn't help but be surprised. He could clearly feel the power of the destructive beam. His divine power and divine body were completely destroyed and annihilated without any resistance. It seems this is your choice then. The Lord of Meng Wan's eyes became sharp, and his tone was also full of ill will. Originally, with the destroyer appearing in the monster race's territory, he had intended to see if he could subdue him. Now, in this situation, it seemed unnecessary. He had to deal with the destroyer before the other two races arrived to gain greater benefits. Chapter 312. The Will to Destroy. Chapter 312. Destroyers. Well, this was the destroyer's first battle against a universe lord. But for Qin Hao, it was not his first. His previous engagement with Lord Pewdie, though not a full-power clash, had revealed the immense strength of a universe lord, giving Qin Hao a completely new understanding of them. As Qin Hao's clone, the destroyer also shared these memories. Now, facing the Lord of Meng Wan, he was extremely cautious. After their initial probes and clashes, both the Lord of Meng Wan and the destroyer gained some understanding of each other. Following the first probe, the destroyer swiftly launched his attack. The fusion laws of wind law, law of thunder, and law of light were all mobilized. These were the most powerful laws he had comprehended so far. Now, fully activated, wind, light, and thunder laws merged, and his powerful divine power rapidly ignited. The destroyer's figure vanished instantly, not through space law teleportation, but through extreme speed. In a flash, he appeared above the Lord of Meng Wan. Powerful divine power transformed into a pillar of light, directly engulfing the Lord of Meng Wan. Surging divine power and the power of laws continuously assailed the Lord of Meng Wan. Universe lords, at a minimum, had fully comprehended time law and space law. Facing two higher laws, even the fusion of three laws could not completely break through. However, the strange and potent nature of the fused laws forced the Lord of Meng Wan to respond with full effort. With the powerful control of a universe lord, the surrounding time and space were instantly controlled. Everything seemed to freeze. All attacks were instantly fixed in place, then annihilated by the Lord of Meng Wan's powerful divine power. As expected, his talent is outstanding. He actually fused wind, light, and thunder laws. A massive body of 90,000 kilometers. It seems to be another perfect gene-level life form nurtured by the primordial universe. The Lord of Meng Wan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. A perfect gene level represented the perfect state of the primordial universe, as well as powerful talent and strength. He had already judged the destroyer's ability to defeat numerous universe overlords and kill universe exalts. Indeed, he was comparable to a universe lord, but still had a slight gap compared to a true universe lord. The Lord of Meng Wan no longer held back. Divine power erupted, and bones formed from divine power continuously flew from his body, directly attacking the destroyer. These gray bones were formed from the Lord of Meng Wan's divine power, a part of his body. With the enhancement of a powerful secret technique, the destroyer felt his hair stand on end the moment the attack arrived. Inside the Jianglan realm, Qin Hao watched the situation outside, feeling very worried. He knew the power of a universe lord. Although the destroyer had decent strength, he would find it hard to gain an advantage against the Lord of Meng Wan. He could only hold on, waiting for the other two parties to arrive. However, the Lord of Meng Wan clearly intended to end the battle quickly. Qin Hao pondered for a moment, preparing to directly step out of the Jianglan realm. This is my battle. Just as Qin Hao's thought arose, the destroyer's voice appeared in Qin Hao's mind. Stopping in his tracks, Qin Hao looked at the destroyer in confusion. Although he was a clone and would be re-nurtured even if he died, the destroyer's current thoughts were clearly not so simple. In the starry sky, the battle between the destroyer and the Lord of Meng Wan continued. The destroyer had completely fallen into a disadvantage, his divine body constantly colliding, and he was continuously repelled. At the same time, facing the Lord of Meng Wan's powerful secret technique, the destroyer could only struggle to cope. His clothes were completely torn, and cracks appeared on his armor. However, despite being at a disadvantage, the destroyer's spirit showed no sign of weakening. Instead, he became increasingly excited. His fighting style gradually began to change. In the confrontation, there was only attack, no defense. Every move was a full-power strike, as if he wanted to directly destroy everything before him. Ha ha ha, this is what battle is. Destruction, destruction, I want to destroy everything. The destroyer seemed to have gone mad. The divine power throughout his body suddenly became even more potent, and a faint aura of destruction enveloped his entire being. The color of his divine power also changed, with a gray aura merging into it. Under the powerful aura, even the time and space controlled by the Lord of Meng Wan were instantly shattered. A powerful beam of destruction directly broke through everything that stood in its way, landing directly on the Lord of Meng Wan. Facing the sudden surge in attack power, the Lord of Meng Wan dared not show the slightest slack. The moment he made contact with the beam of destruction, he quickly severed his divine body. The part of his divine body that touched the beam instantly turned into nothingness as it was severed. Inside the Jianglan realm, Qin Hao looked at the destroyer, sensing the destroyer's will of destruction filling his soul and the power that erupted. He was also rapidly thinking. This power had clearly exceeded Qin Hao's expectations. With the powerful destroyer's will, the fusion of wind law, law of light, and law of thunder seemed to become even simpler, and even time law merged into it. Could it be that the suppression of the destroyer's will was too strong? Is this the destroyer's true power? Qin Hao quickly found the answer in his heart, just like the beast god heart. At its core, it was the beast god will, a will naturally condensed when the primordial universe nurtured the beast god, a will formed during its growth, inherently compatible with fusion laws, integrating laws into every action, every inch of its soul. The destroyer's current state was similar. It was the most essential will of the destroyer's inner being, a craving for destruction, representing the destructive side of the universe. The destruction of planets, the destruction of worlds, the destruction of divine kingdoms, even the primordial universe would eventually head towards destruction. The destroyer was an anomaly nurtured by the primordial universe, a destructive force born within the life aspect of the primordial universe. Only by returning to his essence could he reach his strongest state. After Qin Hao nurtured this clone, the destroyer, he had actually been controlling the destructive thoughts within the destroyer's heart. While this state reduced the destroyer's danger, it also led to significant progress on the path of laws. However, this destroyer, now driven mad and filled with destroyer's will, was the true destroyer. The power now erupting was the true power belonging to the destroyer. Just like the beast god path, even with the complete fusion of two laws, one could only be a top-tier universe overlord, unable to reach the level of a universe lord. But with the beast god heart and the enhancement of the beast god will, one could become a universe lord, a true powerhouse. The difference of a single line was not in the laws, but in the powerful will that controlled those laws. Chapter 313, The Three Universe Masters Gather Watching the Destroyer's Battle. Qin Hao gained a clearer understanding of the destroyer's path of destruction. The fusion of the law of wind, the law of thunder, the law of light, and the time law, though still in its nascent form, had already unleashed immense power in the destroyer's hands. Under the enhancement of a powerful will, the destroyer's secret technique increased its power by more than 100-fold, even suppressing Lord of Meng Wan, despite his formidable strength. Everyone, attack! At this moment, he dared not be overconfident and shouted to the demons behind him. Dozens of demon race venerables and universe overlords directly burned their divine power, and their attacks converged into one, striking towards the destroyer. However, the destroyer at this moment was clearly not so easily dealt with. His entire body was filled with destructive aura, his colossal divine body, and the scattered divine power caused the attacks of numerous universe overlords and universe exalts to be directly annihilated by the surrounding destructive divine power before they even touched the destroyer. What was worse, these individuals' actions also attracted the destroyer's attention. Secret technique: destruction. When it was unleashed again, this time destruction was no longer a simple beam of destructive light, but had formed a massive, destructive light sphere. The moment the light sphere formed, streaks of destructive light rapidly shot out. At the same time, the destructive light sphere rapidly charged towards Lord of Meng Wan and the many monster race powerhouses behind him. Not good. Seeing the situation before him, Lord of Meng Wan dared not hesitate. The Universe Lord's powerful divine power ignited, and the surging power transformed into an ocean of divine power, rushing towards the destructive light sphere, attempting to block the secret technique with its immense power. The divine power and the light sphere formed by the destructive secret technique directly collided. Streaks of destructive light continuously cut through the ocean of divine power. The two constantly nullified each other, but still, many destructive light beams broke through the ocean of divine power, striking directly at the universe overlords and universe exalts behind Lord of Meng Wan. Each beam of light was incredibly fast. The moment it collided with a universe exalt, the universe exalt didn't even have time to react before being directly reduced to nothingness by the light. Even universe overlords, upon collision, could only quickly sever a part of their bodies to preserve their lives. Is this the true power of the destructive light beam? Venerable Feiyu at the very back watched the annihilated universe exalts, his heart filled with disbelief. Damned fellow, how dare you do this? Lord of Meng Wan's heart was filled with rage. The monster race was one of the peak races, possessing formidable strength, and no race in the universe dared to underestimate them. Now, so many demon race venerables were slaughtered right before his eyes. Having been a universe lord for countless years, he had experienced countless battles, yet he had never suffered such a great loss. However, even with anger in his heart, he dared not take too much action now. The power unleashed by the destroyer before him had already made him feel threatened. Even if there was only a tiny possibility, he had to avoid his own demise. Having been a universe lord for countless years, he had also become extremely cautious. Compared to battle, he had increasingly enjoyed the pleasure brought by status and strength. Furthermore, with his demise, the status of his race would directly plummet from its peak, perhaps even becoming fodder for other imperial races. While restricting the destroyer's actions and constantly interrupting the destroyer's attacks, Lord of Meng Wan was also waiting for the arrival of the automaton race and the insect race. This operation was a joint effort of the three races. Upon discovering the destroyer's whereabouts, the insect race and the automaton race would also receive the news simultaneously. It was just that the destroyer chose the monster race's territory, which was why Lord of Meng Wan and others were the first to arrive. The battle between the two also began to become a stalemate, more focused on collisions of divine bodies and divine power. Although the power was immense, it was impossible to determine a victor in a short period. Neither Qin Hao nor the destroyer cared about this. Especially the destroyer, who was completely immersed in this state of destructive will. From the initial mad destruction to gradually being able to dominate and control this destructive will, his entire being was gradually changing. Qin Hao himself had deep research in soul, will, and other aspects, having created a will secret technique. Coupled with the influence of the Nuwa visualization diagram and various studies such as star god incubation, he was considered a top-tier existence in the primordial universe. With these foundations, the destroyer also had good attainments in the soul. the eruption of destructive will, while instinctively drawing out the body's destructive will, did not completely engulf him with this powerful will. Instead, he was continuously mastering this will, turning it to his own use. Now, Lord of Meng Wan was the best training target. Under the pressure and collision with a Universe Lord, the destructive will gradually became purer. What is truly terrifying is not a madman, but a clear-headed madman. The Destroyer was currently in such a state, aware of his own madness and capable of controlling it. As a Universe Lord, Lord of Meng Wan continuously observed the Destroyer's changes, clearly sensing the Destroyer's differences, and realized something was wrong. However, with comparable strength, killing the opponent was far from simple. Just as Lord of Meng Wan was caught in a dilemma, a wave of divine power emanated from 10,000 miles away, followed by the appearance of a 100-person squad. Leading them was a burly automaton in purple armor, followed by uniformly dressed automatons, each with a very similar aura. After the automaton race squad appeared, another powerful wave of divine power emanated, and after the divine kingdom teleportation ended, a woman in a goose-yellow dress appeared not far away. Upon their appearance, both sides were instantly drawn to the battling Destroyer and Lord of Meng Wan, and with a single teleportation, they appeared on the battlefield between the two. Lord of Bailong, Lord of Hengxian. Seeing the two figures appear, the Destroyer's body couldn't help but quickly retreat. 3 Universe Lords were beyond his ability to contend with. At this moment, Qin Hao needed to act. Although the Destroyer was somewhat arrogant, he was still very clear about his own strength. Under the enhancement of destructive will, confronting 1 Universe Lord was not a problem, but 3 Universe Lords was completely impossible. He would only be directly suppressed by the 3 Universe Lords, becoming a lamb to the slaughter. Within the Jiang Lan realm, Qin Hao, seeing the appearance of Lord of Bailong and Lord of Hengxian, knew it was time for him to act. Chapter 314, Fierce Battle. Chapter 314. Fierce Battle. The Destroyer's action brought a slight smile to the lips of Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian. 3 Universe Lords attacking 1 top-tier Universe Overlord was an extremely grand display. Now, the Destroyer's retreat was also within the trio's expectations. At this moment, the 3 powerhouses were no longer tense. Even Lord of Meng Wan stopped burning his divine power and gathered with Lord of Bailong and Lord of Hengxian. This operation was a joint effort of the 3 races. Although the division of benefits had already been completed, Lord of Meng Wan's recent battle with the Destroyer made him even more aware of the Destroyer's value. A life form with a perfect gene level, a powerful will, a legacy comparable to the beast god path, and the supreme treasures on him, each was extremely valuable. Let's take him down first, then we can start dividing things. As Lord of Hengxian's cold mechanical voice faded, he immediately took action. He had witnessed the Destroyer's battle with Lord of Meng Wan, and although it was brief, the short engagement still allowed him to sense the Destroyer's extraordinary nature. Facing the charging Lord of Hengxian, the Destroyer offered no resistance, as if he had given up. Just as Lord of Hengxian arrived before the Destroyer, ready to capture him directly, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the Destroyer. A massive divine body stood before Lord of Hengxian, looking down at him. The immense divine power directly enveloped Lord of Hengxian, forming a giant cage. Qin Hao had already prepared as soon as Lord of Hengxian moved. Although his divine body was not fully unleashed, the oppressive feeling brought by his massive divine body, hundreds of thousands of kilometers tall, caused Lord of Hengxian to be momentarily unable to react, and he was directly imprisoned by Qin Hao. This cage was also a secret technique developed by Qin Hao, fusing wind law, time law, and space law. The powerful wind pillars formed a cage that even a Universe Lord would find difficult to escape. In terms of the intensity and power of the law alone, this cage was no weaker than a 4th-rank Universe Master's secret technique. Lord of Hengxian, inside the cage, was completely shocked by the sudden situation. He had expected to capture the Destroyer easily, but now a new enemy had appeared. Not only Lord of Hengxian, but Lord of Meng Wan and Lord of Bailong were also in shock at this moment. With a single move, he had directly trapped Lord of Hengxian. The one before them was clearly not simple. The powerful law and immense divine body brought an extremely strong sense of oppression. Meng Wan, Bailong, quickly come and save me, or we will all perish here. Lord of Hengxian, at this moment, disregarded his dignity and directly shouted to Lord of Meng Wan and Lord of Bailong. The oppressive power of the law and divine power made him clearly understand that the person before him was stronger than himself. Only by working together could they have a chance of victory. Qin Hao looked at Lord of Hengxian in the cage and Lord of Meng Wan and Lord of Bailong in the distance, his heart unwavering. Although the three Universe Lords were not weak, they were far from being his opponents. What he needed to do now was to finish the battle quickly and deal with the Universe Overlords and Universe Exalts they brought. As for killing the three Universe Lords before him, Qin Hao did not hold much hope from the start. After all, the power of every Universe Lord was far beyond imagination, and killing them was not that simple. Moreover, they were currently in the monster race's territory and could face encirclement by monster race powerhouses at any time. However, even if he couldn't kill them, teaching Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian a lesson was absolutely no problem. Before Lord of Meng Wan and Lord of Bailong could attack, Qin Hao instantly teleported to a short distance from them. The laws entwined around his supreme treasure longsword raged furiously, and a powerful vortex of death directly transformed into a giant wind blade, slashing towards Lord of Meng Wan. However, at the same time, a strange fluctuation instantly enveloped Qin Hao. Domain-type top-tier supreme treasure, Iluo Realm. Feeling the surrounding fluctuations, and the power of the domain continuously applying pressure on Qin Hao's body, Qin Hao already knew it was Lord of Bailong's top-tier supreme treasure. Even with the power of a Universe Lord, facing a top-tier domain supreme treasure would still make one feel constrained, with their strength affected. The moment Qin Hao was trapped, a smile involuntarily appeared on Lord of Bailong's lips. The Iluo Realm, as her trump card, allowed her to protect herself even against powerhouses stronger than herself. Coupled with the insect race's inherently powerful mental strength and the ability to breed Zerg warriors, it almost formed an unsolvable situation. Within the Iluo realm, changes began to occur. Zerg warriors started appearing one by one. The aura of each Zerg warrior was extremely powerful, with the weakest reaching the Exalt level and Universe Overlords making up the majority. Instantly, a 100-person squad formed. After the squad formed, it charged directly towards Qin Hao in the center. At the same time, Zerg warriors continued to be bred and joined the battle. Facing the sudden appearance of the Zerg warriors' army, Qin Hao paid no attention. He was already very familiar with fighting the insect race. As an insect race Universe Lord, even a first-rank Universe Lord, the power unleashed was not to be underestimated. Lord of Bailong now was clearly not just a first-rank Universe Lord. Among the Zerg warriors she bred, Universe Overlords accounted for the vast majority, with many top-tier Universe Overlords mixed in. Furthermore, with the enhancement of the Iluo realm, even a third-rank Universe Lord entering it would find it far from simple to escape when facing a large number of attackers. However, Qin Hao was clearly not among them. The 365 divine kingdoms hidden within his divine body began to tremble. The power within the divine kingdoms began to differentiate, forming stars of varying sizes outside Qin Hao's massive divine body. After the 365 stars formed, they quickly linked together, and the Zhutian star array rapidly took shape. Star gods, take your positions. With Qin Hao's fierce shout within the 365 stars, various gods began to awaken. Each star god had a different expression on their face, some joyful, some angry, some sorrowful, some neither sad nor happy. Each star god had their own emotions and expressions, and the moment they condensed, the entire Zhutian star array began to operate rapidly. Yin and Yang reversal. Light flashed on the great array, illuminating the entire Iluo realm, followed by a surge of law power and divine power. Everything within the Iluo realm seemed to be overturned. The Zerg warriors charging towards Qin Hao seemed to have gone blind, spinning in place, unable to advance a single step. Chapter 315, Display of Power. Chapter 315, Displaying Might. Big Dipper, Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, 28 constellations. As Qin Hao called out the names, stars lit up one by one, and the star gods began to move swiftly. The Big Dipper's starlight flickered, forming beams of extremely sharp sword light that directly plunged into the insect race's ranks. The Big Dipper governs killing and conquest, and when Qin Hao meditated on the star gods, he also used the 5 elements laws as a foundation, integrating space law. After Qin Hao became a venerable, the law fusion of the Big Dipper 7 stars also reached its peak. In terms of law intensity alone, it was no weaker than a universe overlord. With the Big Dipper 7-star array's enhancement, each beam of sword light was no weaker than a universe overlord's full-power strike. As the Big Dipper sword light shot out, the 28 constellations also lit up simultaneously. Divine power and laws intertwined, and the figures of the 4 divine beasts, Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise, condensed, their massive bodies reaching tens of thousands of kilometers. As soon as they finished condensing, a powerful will awakened from within the bodies of the 4 divine beasts, carrying immense power, as it surged into the insect race's ranks. Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio. The slaughter by sword light and the 4 divine beasts began. Even universe overlords quickly fell under the powerful attacks, their divine bodies directly devoured by the 4 divine beasts, transforming into the purest energy that the 4 divine beasts absorbed, causing their figures to swell further. Impossible. Why have all the teams lost contact? Outside the Iluo realm, Lord of Bylong sensed the changes within the Iluo realm, her soul power rapidly probing into it. What met her eyes was a scene of utter devastation. The insect race powerhouses she had bred had completely vanished, and the entire Iluo realm seemed to have been inverted, completely beyond her control. This was her supreme treasure, a supreme treasure she had refined for countless years, a supreme treasure that had always been invincible. Now, the internal domain was beyond her control, and even the hundreds of elites she had nurtured had been completely slaughtered. At this moment, Lord of Bylong dared not show the slightest negligence, quickly arriving outside the cage that held Lord of Hengxian. Meng Wan, quickly come and rescue Lord of Hengxian. He is too strong, we are no match for him. First, rescue Lord of Hengxian, then contact the powerhouses of our respective races. We must keep him here, otherwise, none of our 3 races will fare well. Lord of Bylong now dared not underestimate Qin Hao, this unfamiliar universe lord. She had originally thought that the top-tier domain supreme treasure would give the 3 of them enough reaction time and an advantage. But she never expected that he could actually invert the rules within the domain supreme treasure. This was not something an ordinary universe lord could do. At least, none of the universe lords she had met could do it. Furthermore, to be able to eliminate the insect race she had bred within a short time, this power was already beyond her ability to contend with. Now, only by combining the power of Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Hengxian, and herself, with the combined power of 3 universe lords, could they contend with the person in front of them and wait for the powerhouses of the 3 races to arrive to keep him here. Lord of Meng Wan had already dealt with Qin Hao's attack. The powerful wind blades made him, a universe lord, feel an intense crisis. Burning his divine power, he condensed it to the extreme and fully unleashed a secret technique, only then slowly wearing down the wind blades. Upon hearing Lord of Bylong's words, he immediately teleported to Lord of Hengxian's side. The cage was not large, but all 3 could feel the wind law, time law, and space law condensed within the wind pillar. The wind pillar, formed by the fusion laws, was small but extremely sturdy. The only thing they could do was to wear down the power of the laws through powerful divine power. Thinking of this, Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bylong, and Lord of Hexian quickly burned their divine power. Although they had not comprehended fusion laws as universe lords, their comprehension of time law and space law was extremely profound, having fully grasped them. Now, working together, they quickly opened the cage. The moment Lord of Hexian stepped out of the cage, the three of them immediately reconverged outside the Eluo realm. At this moment, the Eluo realm was gradually showing signs of collapse. Domain Supreme treasures were incredibly powerful. Whether for trapping enemies or for offense, they had miraculous effects. Especially top-tier Domain Supreme treasures, even some powerful universe lords would have to expend some effort. However, to Qin Hao, powerful Supreme treasures could be refined. After communicating with Zuo Shank, he had new insights into the refinement of Supreme treasures. As his refining methods improved, his understanding of Supreme treasures also continuously increased. From the perspective of an artifact refiner, Supreme treasures held no great secrets for Qin Hao. If it were an offensive or defensive Supreme treasure, he might only be able to confront it head-on. But this kind of domain Supreme treasure, being trapped within it, presented an opportunity for dismantling. Qin Hao's powerful divine power and understanding of Supreme treasures allowed him to quickly find the weak point of the Eluo realm. After several attacks, the Eluo realm also showed signs of disintegrating. Lord of Bailong sensed the changes in the Eluo realm and quickly retracted it. Looking at the now fractured Eluo realm in her hand, her eyes were filled with fury. This top-tier domain Supreme treasure was her most important Supreme treasure. Insect race soldiers could be bred again as long as resources were sufficient, but if a Supreme treasure was damaged, there would truly be no chance of recovery. Who exactly are you? Lord of Bailong's voice became sharp, and a soul attack unconsciously integrated into her voice, directly rushing towards Qin Hao. The attack that erupted inadvertently was the most direct manifestation of Lord of Bailong's inner rage. Who I am is not important. What's important is that everyone you brought today will be left behind, and the three of you will also be left behind. Qin Hao's tone was unhurried, as if he had already got them cornered. Don't underestimate our three races. If you provoke us, there will be no place for you in the entire universe. Lord of Meng Wan also spoke at this moment. To say that he would leave them behind within the territory of their monster race clearly showed that he did not put their entire race in his eyes. As one of the peak races, the monster race was a very proud race, yet now they were looked down upon by the person in front of them. Even for a powerful universe lord, he was too arrogant. Lord of Hexian of the automaton race did not speak, but directly expressed his thoughts with an attack. The automaton race's powerful computational ability and powerful attacks were unleashed without reservation. Pure rationality had made it clear that the person in front of them was an enemy that must be killed. Any words were superfluous. Lord of Hexian's action directly initiated this great battle. The attacks of Lord of Meng Wan and Lord of Bailong followed, and simultaneously, the three universe lords completely space-locked the surrounding space-time. Taiyan, Sun, Metal Law descend. 12 Yuan Chen, 36 He-Venly Chinese letter, 72 earthly fiends, heed my command. As Qin Hao's voice rang out, the stars around his body rapidly expanded, completely enveloping the surrounding 100 million kilometers of spacetime within the Zhu Tian star array. The Taiyan star and Sun star hung high in the center of the great array, beginning to operate. Subsequently, the Metal Law, 12 Yuan Chen, 36 He-Venly Chinese letter, and 72 earthly fiend stars began to rotate rapidly. The divine power aura within the great array began to thicken, and spacetime began to change. Even the space lock maintained by the three universe lords seemed to become extremely fragile at this moment. Chapter 316. Reinforcements arrived in the starry sky. Qin Hao looked down at the three god ancestors, Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hexian. The Zhu Tian star array had completely enveloped them, including the strong individuals they brought with them. Universe lords have strong survival capabilities, but the strength of the universe overlords and universe exalts they brought is very limited. The moment they entered the array, their life and death were already decided. Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian within the array clearly knew Qin Hao's plan, and none of them dared to hold back anymore. They attacked their surroundings with all their might, powerful secret techniques continuously striking the stars and star gods in the sky. These stars and star gods made them feel very mysterious. Each one's strength was above venerable level. 365 strong individuals, plus a universe lord presiding over it, this powerful force filled their hearts with doubt. Even above the highest star, they could feel an aura no weaker than their own. Could there be another universe lord hidden among them? At this moment, they had to be cautious. A destroyer had actually drawn out so many strong individuals, and even such a grand scheme. They also knew that this time was not just a scheme by their three races against the destroyer, but also a scheme by the destroyer and the forces behind him against their three races. As for the final outcome, they had too many uncertainties in their hearts. The only thing they could confirm now was that the strong individuals from their respective races they had brought might perish. Thinking of this, Lord of Meng Wan and Lord of Hengxian couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache. Although these exalts and universe overlords could be resurrected in the future, each resurrection would consume a large amount of resources, so even a universe lord would not dare to resurrect them all at once. Compared to them, Lord of Bailong's losses were even more severe. Her own insect race warriors had all been killed, and her most important supreme treasure, Iluo Realm, was now damaged and required a long time to recover. Matching the madness and anger in their hearts was a sense of helplessness. The three god ancestors, three universe lords, had actually fallen into such a situation. When they wanted to go for rescue, the Sun Star, Taiyan Star, and the Ziwei Star hidden deep within the starry sky continuously released attacks. The scorching flames, icy whirlwinds, and the swirling star sand made it difficult for the three god ancestors to take even a single step forward. Don't mind these stars, attack the divine body instead. Lord of Bailong's eyes flickered. After carefully observing each star god in the starry sky, she transmitted her voice to Lord of Meng Wan and Lord of Hengxian. Although there were many star gods in space, and their formation even directly affected the surrounding time, space, and laws, the true core was still the person who initially set up the formation. Hearing Lord of Bailong's voice, Lord of Hengxian and Lord of Meng Wan had no doubts. They burned their divine power and erupted with full force, attacking Qin Hao, who spanned the entire starry sky region. Facing the attack, Qin Hao didn't care in the slightest. If the three god ancestors were third-tier universe lords, he would be cautious in responding. But the attacks from Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian posed no threat to Qin Hao. Fan Tian's seal. Just as the three god ancestors' attacks were about to reach Qin Hao, a vast voice came from the sky. A gigantic seal appeared above the heads of the three god ancestors. The seal was golden all over, entwined with obscure energy. The moment it descended, the surrounding time and space were directly controlled, making it impossible to dodge or escape. Powerful divine power and an obscure aura of laws encircled it, and upon striking, it was like an incomparably massive mountain. And Lord of Bailong, Lord of Meng Wan, and Lord of Hengxian were like tiny ants, only able to await the arrival of the attack. Bang! With a huge collision sound, the three god ancestors were directly sent flying, their divine bodies rapidly shattering as they retreated. At the same time, Qin Hao also directly launched an attack on the monster race and automaton race exalts and universe overlords within the array. Starlight condensed, and streaks of starlight, like meteors, streaked across the starry sky, creating a dazzling and dreamlike scene. Many of the monster race and automaton race couldn't help but become immersed in it, as if they had returned to their weaker days, looking up at the sky with hearts full of longing. Soon, this longing turned into fear. With each falling streak of starlight, the body of a strong individual was directly pierced through, and then the starlight continuously eroded their divine bodies. By the time they reacted, streaks of starlight, densely packed, had completely surrounded them. In just an instant, hundreds of exalts and universe overlords had completely vanished, their divine power completely eroded. After these exalts and universe overlords were completely obliterated, the starlight in the starry sky began to converge again. The starlight condensed into a long river, sweeping directly towards Lord of Bailong, Lord of Mengwan, and Lord of Hengxian within the Zhu Tian star array. At this moment, they had just been repelled by the Fan Tian seal, and they were still in a state of confusion, instantly being enveloped again by the long river of starlight. Their instincts as strong individuals, upon encountering an attack, immediately covered their entire bodies with divine power, activating their armor treasures to the extreme, protecting themselves within. It was fortunate that, as universe lords of their respective races, they had obtained many resources from their clans after becoming universe lords, and had also acquired many supreme treasures, which allowed them not to fall into complete passivity during the attack. However, even so, facing a powerful attack, all they could do was protect themselves. As the long river of starlight continuously flowed and surged within the river, they were like ordinary people who had fallen into a river. It was difficult to break free, but they wouldn't drown in a short time. Now, the only thing they could do was wait for others to rescue them. The moment they fell into the Zhu Tian star array, they had already reported to their respective races through their divine power avatars. After all, a powerful universe lord, especially an unfamiliar one, even the three major races had to take seriously. Moreover, this universe lord was surrounded by many universe overlords and venerable level existences. This was a force that could not be ignored in any power, and now it had suddenly appeared, just as Lord of Hengxian, Lord of Mengwan, and Lord of Bailong were gradually sinking into the long river of starlight. A figure suddenly appeared outside the Zhu Tian star array. Someone's here. I wonder which strong individual from the monster race it is this time. Feeling the aura outside the array, Qin Hao's eyes couldn't help but show some excitement. From the aura, Qin Hao felt the newcomer's strength and knew it must be a strong individual from the monster race. However, even so, Qin Hao was not prepared to leave immediately. Instead, he was ready to face them. Bang! With a huge collision sound, the three god ancestors were directly sent flying, their divine bodies rapidly shattering as they retreated. At the same time, Qin Hao also directly launched an attack on the monster race and automaton race exalts and universe overlords within the array. Chapter 317, The Great Riot. Chapter 317, The Great Riot. What a truly peculiar formation. The 10 great laws and fusion laws can actually be applied to such a profound extent. The power, unleashed by over 300 universe exalts, is already comparable to a 4th-rank universe master. It seems the opponent, Meng Wan, is facing this time is not simple. Blood Chisel Master stood outside the Zhu Tian star array, sighing with emotion. As a top 5th-tier universe master of the monster race, and a powerful being in the universe, Blood Chisel Master had seen many experts, but very few could achieve such a feat. The fusion and unification of the power of over 300 exalts was a challenge for the entire formation, a challenge for the experts maintaining the formation, and an even greater challenge for the expert presiding over the formation. Stepping into the star array, Blood Chisel Master's body began to rapidly expand. His majestic divine body and powerful strength continuously impacted every corner of the Great Zhu Heavenly Star's formation. A 5th-tier universe master. From the aura, Qin Hao quickly judged the strength of the newcomer and confirmed his identity. Blood Chisel Master of the monster race possessed formidable strength, a powerful will, and equally powerful supreme treasures. He was among the most top-tier individuals in the universe. Facing Blood Chisel Master, Qin Hao dared not take any chances. The Zhu Tian star array rapidly operated, and the star gods fully immersed themselves in the formation. The surging divine power from his divine kingdom poured forth, and the divine power within his divine body also rapidly ignited. Currently, Qin Hao's strength was comparable to a 4th-rank universe master, which was already considerable. However, against a fifth-tier universe master, he was still a step behind. Even with the full blessing of the Great Zhu Heavenly Star's formation, while he had the ability to fight, it was impossible to win. After all, a top fifth-tier universe master, combined with supreme treasures and secret techniques, was already closed to the ceiling in the primordial universe. For Qin Hao to defeat him, he would need to truly break through to become a universe lord, or directly summon all of the Star Palace. Only by combining the Star Palace with the Star Gods and empowering the Zhu Tian Star Array could he reach a level comparable to a fifth-tier universe master. However, even so, it would at most be a draw, which would be a complete waste and unnecessary. Shifting stars, changing dipper. Under Qin Hao's control, the Zhu Tian Star Array rapidly changed, with murderous intent surging. Heaven unleashed its killing intent, shifting stars and changing constellations. The changes in the stars brought about changes in the rules and laws within the entire star space. Child's play. Blood Chisel Master looked at the shifting space, unconcerned. His divine power erupted, and the formidable power belonging to a universe lord filled the entire space. Time and space stopped at this moment. As a wave of blood spread outwards from Blood Chisel Master, it continuously eroded the surrounding power. Qin Hao's divine power was constantly eroded, dissolved, and even became nourishment for the blood wave under this force. Indeed, no universe lord is easy to deal with. Sensing the power of the blood wave, Qin Hao still did not retreat. He manipulated the Zhu Tian Star Array to change, and all the stars quickly disappeared, leaving only the Sun Star hanging in the sky. From the massive Sun Star, intense light shone down, carrying powerful energy. It collided with the blood wave, continuously evaporating it. At the same time, Qin Hao's enormous divine body also moved. The Earth Law, Time Law, and Space Law fused together. A giant stone axe quickly condensed in his hand, tearing through the void and slashed towards Blood Chisel Master, unbounded. The fusion of the Earth Law, Time Law, and Space Law was no weaker than the Wind Law, Time Law, and Space Law, having reached the second stage. Its formidable power was considered extremely strong among universe lords. The current secret technique's power had already reached the level of a fourth-tier secret technique. Besides law fusion, the other factor limiting its power was Qin Hao's divine power. After all, he was still just an exalt, one step away from becoming a universe lord. The intensity of his divine power was compensated by his gene level. Although the power unleashed was strong, for a fifth-tier Blood Chisel Master, it could not pose too much of a threat. The blood wave surged again, directly charging towards the stone axe. At the moment of impact, the blood wave was split open, but the stone axe was quickly submerged and soon turned into nothingness. Sensing the disparity in strength, Qin Hao decided not to continue fighting. Time was almost up. If he continued to be entangled, and other experts from the monster race, insect race, or automaton race arrived, he would truly be unable to leave. The surrounding stars instantly vanished, one by one merging into Qin Hao's body. His massive divine body also began to shrink. At this moment, Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian, who were trapped in the River of Starlight, were also released and quickly came to Blood Chisel Master's side. After the ordeal in the River of Starlight, although the three had not sustained actual injuries, a significant amount of their divine power had been depleted, and they now appeared somewhat dispirited. "Are you preparing to give up?" Blood Chisel Master looked at Qin Hao and asked. His tone was very relaxed. In his opinion, this being posed no threat to him. Although his strength was very powerful, he could not escape from his grasp. Now, there was only one reason for him to stop. He was preparing to surrender. "I've had enough fun, I'm ready to leave." Qin Hao was also very casual. Although he was facing a fifth-tier universe master, he was still very confident that he could leave. "With your strength, you can't leave. That's if you still have the energy to stop me." Qin Hao remained very relaxed in response to Blood Chisel Master's words. At the same time, the various servants he had placed within the monster race, insect race, and automaton race began to act. From the moment he sent these servants back to their respective races, Qin Hao had already prepared a grand gift for the three races and made some preparations for any tricky situations he might encounter. When these servants were enslaved by Qin Hao, they were already king-level experts, and many of them were even peak king limit, invincible king, and king-level expert. Coupled with the inheritance of the fusion laws from the Purple Cloud Palace, many of them had already broken through to become exalts. An exalt wreaking havoc in the universe posed a threat far beyond imagination. What's more, within each of the three races, Qin Hao had arranged over a dozen exalts and thousands of champion experts. These experts were hidden in important planets and core locations of major forces within the monster race, insect race, and automaton race. Over 3,000 champion experts and dozens of exalt-level experts simultaneously attacking the important planets and hubs of various forces would cause unprecedented destruction. Furthermore, it would directly cause chaos within the three races, and their experts would inevitably be summoned to deal with the internal turmoil. As for the lives of these servants within the three races, Qin Hao was not at all worried. Those who could escape would directly use divine kingdom teleportation after causing destruction. Those who could not escape would self-detonate. The divine power stored in the bestowal of gods was entirely sufficient for the resurrection of all personnel this time. Chapter 318, Destruction. Chapter 318. Destruction within the territory of the Heavenly Wolf Clan, one of the monster race's royal clans. More than a dozen figures moved swiftly, dispersing into various areas. The Heavenly Wolf Clan's territory was vast, home to numerous powerful individuals, champions, venerables, and the clan's ancestor, the Lord of the Skywolf. These dozen-plus figures were all Qin Hao's enslaved individuals, powerful experts from the monster race who had previously interacted with the Heavenly Wolf Clan. One of them was even a champion-level expert from the Heavenly Wolf Clan. Under his leadership, entering the Heavenly Wolf Clan's territory met with little resistance. After all, no one would have expected anyone to dare cause trouble within the Heavenly Wolf Clan's domain. With the presence of an expert of the Lord of the Skywolf's caliber, the Heavenly Wolf Clan had not been challenged for a long time, and every Heavenly Wolf maintained extreme pride. After entering the Heavenly Wolf Clan, the dozen monster race experts remained very low-key, hiding in various areas, ready to act at any moment. Now, having received their master's command, each of them rapidly advanced towards the areas where the Heavenly Wolf Clan's Undying and elites gathered. "Who goes there? Stop for inspection." An Undying squad from the Heavenly Wolf Clan blocked the path of the monster race group, their eyes filled with arrogance. Although he clearly sensed the power of the approaching group, this was the Heavenly Wolf Clan, a royal clan of the monster race. Even powerful individuals had to submit to their rule. Instead of the expected halt, the answer came in a barrage of attacks. In an instant, the entire squad was engulfed and annihilated. "We have now entered the Heavenly Wolf Clan's core area. Disperse and act, cause as much destruction as possible, and kill everyone you encounter," said the leading monster, who was the captain of this squad and the strongest among them, having reached the venerable level. This time, their squad was carrying out Qin Hao's orders with a resolve to die. Although they faced fellow clan members of the monster race, in their hearts, only their master Qin Hao was the supreme being. Every command had to be strictly executed. Upon entering the core area, the dozen individuals no longer concealed themselves. Their divine bodies reached their limits, their divine power rapidly burned, and their strongest secret techniques were continuously unleashed as they charged towards the innermost core area. Along the way, a large number of world lords and Undying fell directly. The Heavenly Wolf Clan's core area was inhabited by at least world lords, and only world lords acknowledged by the origin laws were qualified to enter. It could be said to be the reserve strength of the Heavenly Wolf Clan. Now, with a champion-level expert suddenly breaking in, world lords had no ability to resist whatsoever. Even Undying and immortal army lords had no power to fight back against a champion. After swiftly rushing into the core area, Marquis-level immortals and King-level immortals began to surge out from the innermost regions to intercept them. However, the dozen individuals gave them no chance. Mysterious crystals, each shimmering with the power of laws, appeared in their hands and were swiftly thrown out. Boom, boom, boom. A continuous series of explosions erupted, causing the entire territory of the Heavenly Wolf clan to shake and crack. The champions and Marquis-level experts who had rushed forward suffered heavy casualties in the explosions. These crystals were refined by Qin Hao, combining the power of fusion laws with a large amount of divine power. Their might could threaten venerables. Champions and Marquis-level experts had no resistance against these explosions. Continuous explosions rose, and King-level immortals and Marquis-level immortals continued to fall. Subsequently, powerful auras spread out from the core area of the Heavenly Wolf clan, and figures appeared one by one. "Who are you? How dare you attack my Heavenly Wolf clan?" A vast voice, mixed with powerful divine power and soul force, caused the dozen enslaved individuals to tremble involuntarily, even affecting the leading venerable-level monster. "Kill." There was no reply, only a shout of "kill." Following this, Qin Hao's dozen-plus enslaved individuals quickly hurled the crystals in their hands towards various parts of the Heavenly Wolf clan's territory, while the divine power within their bodies began to rapidly swell. Even the leading venerable did the same. His powerful divine power, burning, unleashed immense strength, which instantly diffused rapidly in all directions at the moment of explosion. At the same time, the throne crystals rapidly exploded, completely covering the entire territory of the Heavenly Wolf clan. "Damn it, how dare they do this? We are the noble Heavenly Wolf clan." The explosions were incredibly swift. Within a few breaths, the entire Heavenly Wolf clan's territory had become dilapidated, with more than half of its clan members in the core area lost, and even one venerable died in the explosions. While the Heavenly Wolf clan was being destroyed, the core areas of each of the 18 royal clans of the monster race were experiencing similar events. A large number of powerful individuals fell in this destruction, facilities were ruined, and the clans were severely affected. The insect race and the automaton race also did not escape unscathed. Suicidal attacks and a large number of exploding crystals directly detonated within the territories of the three races. A large number of elite personnel fell, vast resources were destroyed, and many core experts also perished. Each race lost tens of thousands of champions, and countless undying and world lord-level experts, with even several venerables falling. Although there were many universe lords who could resurrect these clan members by controlling time and space. The massive consumption of divine power and the time required for recovery would directly impact the development of the three major races over the next 100,000 years. In the next 100,000 years, the three races would be unable to fully recover. These individuals had to be resurrected. Otherwise, to recultivate them would take far more than 100,000 years. After all, Qin Hao not only destroyed champion-level experts, but also a large number of elites below them. Without these elites, powerful individuals would have to be cultivated from scratch, and the investment in resources, time, and personnel would far exceed the cost of resurrecting these individuals. At this moment, Qin Hao stood calmly before the Blood Chisel Master, looking with interest at the Blood Chisel Master and the Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian behind him. Their clan territories were also within the scope of this attack, and the assault had already begun there. He believed their divine power clones would soon receive the news, and it was time for him to prepare to leave. Otherwise, Qin Hao was not sure what the enraged universe lords would do. Within the 365 divine kingdoms in his body, wisps of divine power began to emanate, gradually enveloping Qin Hao's body. The Blood Chisel Master's expression suddenly changed, his face consumed by anger, and his divine power involuntarily released. The Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian beside him were directly pushed back by the powerful divine power. "You did this." The blood chisel master gritted his teeth, each word spoken adding to his fury. Indeed, are you satisfied with this gift? Now is not the time for anger. You should go clean up the mess. Qin Hao smiled slightly, his tone still provoking the blood chisel master's wrath. Chapter 319, Bounty for the Three Clans. Chapter 319. Three races bounty. The blood waves, formed from divine power, rapidly spread out from the blood chisel master, then converged into a giant crimson dragon that charged directly at Qin Hao. This attack, imbued with the blood chisel master's rage, was his full-power strike. Even a fifth-tier universe master would need to exert their full strength to completely defend against it. At this moment, the blood chisel master had only one thought: to kill the fellow in front of him. The information he had received a moment ago had left his heart unable to calm down. Even with his incredibly strong will, he could no longer control his emotions. His race had suffered extensive destruction, backup clansmen had fallen, and even several core venerables had perished. Furthermore, the entire monster race had endured similar blows, with the 18 royal families and various important planets experiencing massive casualties. For the next 100,000 years, or even longer, the monster race would stagnate and might even be exploited by other races. And all of this was caused by the person before him. However, Qin Hao had no intention of continuing to fight the blood chisel master. Starry light flickered around him, and the surrounding space instantly changed. Qin Hao's figure had already vanished from his original position. Even the Universe Lord's control over space-time couldn't stop Qin Hao, nor could it even lock onto the disappearing aura of Qin Hao. There was no trace to be found in the surrounding space. After losing its target, the Crimson Dragon charged directly into the void of space, crashing into a distant planet and completely obliterating the surrounding starfield before finally disappearing. When the blood chisel master realized Qin Hao had vanished, he began to explore the surrounding space, searching for traces of Qin Hao's spatial traversal, but found nothing. In his fury, the blood chisel master's rage, accompanied by divine power, erupted, directly tearing apart the surrounding space. Amidst the fragments of space, there was still no sign of Qin Hao. The Lord of Meng Wan, Lord of Bailong, and Lord of Hengxian, who had been swept aside, now dared not approach, watching the raging blood chisel master with trepidation. They, too, had received news that a large number of powerful individuals had appeared in their respective races, wreaking havoc in the core areas with suicidal attacks, destroying numerous facilities, and causing many deaths. Although they were also extremely angry and wanted to vent, they dared not erupt in front of the blood chisel master, only waiting for his rage to subside. When the blood chisel master's rage finally subsided slightly, reason returned. His gaze swept over Lord of Hengxian and Lord of Bailong, and the murderous intent in his eyes sent a chill down the spines of the two Universe Lords. As fellow Universe Lords, they were even more aware of the disparity in strength. The gap from a first-tier Universe Lord to a sixth-order Universe Master even surpassed that from an Undying to a Universe Lord. If the blood chisel master were to attack, the two of them would have no chance to resist. Moreover, their divine power had already been significantly depleted in the Star River previously. HMP, with a cold snort, divine power fluctuations arose around the blood chisel master, and divine kingdom teleportation began, causing him to vanish from his original spot. Lord of Bailong and Lord of Hengxian, who remained, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. At this moment, the two also dared not linger and immediately left via divine kingdom teleportation. Only the Lord of Meng Wan, who had not yet departed, remained with a very grim expression, eventually also leaving via divine kingdom teleportation. Now, the most important thing was to first return to their own races, stabilize the clans, restore divine power, resurrect the fallen clansmen, and then address the numerous fallen monster race powerhouses and elites. Although the monster race had a considerable number of Universe Lords, resurrecting so many powerhouses and elites was still a massive undertaking. The consumption of divine power and the punishment from the primordial universe meant that even they, as universe lords, could not complete the resurrection of all personnel in a short time. However, if these individuals were not resurrected, the very foundation of the entire race would be affected. This was something that had to be done, and it was also something that was extremely frustrating. While the monster race, insect race, and automaton race were in a state of chaos, Qin Hao had already left the human race territory. Through the Zhu Tian star array and the blessings of numerous divine kingdoms, Qin Hao directly completed a grand spatial displacement, moving a distance of over tens of thousands of light years, and then made multiple consecutive displacements before finally feeling at ease. Qin Hao did not choose to return directly to the human race territory, but instead chose to take a detour. This time, Qin Hao planned to pass through the Nine-Domain Alliance to return to the human race territory. The Nine-Domain Alliance, as one of the 12 major top-tier forces in the primordial universe, comprised hundreds of thousands of races, including many powerful ones. In terms of the quantity and quality of races alone, it even surpassed the Human Alliance, Insect Race Alliance, and Monster Race Alliance. However, in terms of strength, the Nine-Domain Alliance had a slightly stronger basic foundation, with 50 million champion immortals and 100,000 venerables. But there were only a dozen or so peak universe lords, and no universe strongest. Subscribe for more amazing novel audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, and share Infinite Novel Audio. Taking out his spaceship, Qin Hao directly entered it and began his journey. Although he possessed a palace-type treasure, Qin Hao still chose to be more low-key. After all, palace-type treasures were generally at least for universe overlord-level existences. A foreign powerhouse entering the Nine-Domain Alliance was likely to cause unnecessary trouble. As for the spaceship, it was much simpler. The identity and various information were complete, and entering the Nine-Domain Alliance as a human race member presented no problems whatsoever. Entering the spaceship, under Gu's control, it quickly entered the Dark Universe. Qin Hao also took out the bestowal of gods at this time. Most of the slaves who entered the three races had ended their missions by self-detonating. Only a small number, lucky enough not to encounter overly strong opponents, managed to eliminate their adversaries with explosive crystals, and then departed via divine kingdom teleportation. And the many slaves who had self-detonated were now being resurrected under the blessing of the bestowal of gods, their divine bodies rapidly reforming. In less than 100 years, these slaves would be resurrected again, and their divine bodies would be fully restored. It could be said that Qin Hao suffered no losses this time. What he brought to the three races, however, was a tremendous blow. The damaged areas needed to be rebuilt, clansmen had to be resurrected, and even the alliance might become unstable. After all, when a race is bullied to such an extent and the mastermind hasn't been caught, the vassal races also begin to waver. However, Qin Hao soon witnessed the resolve of the three races. The three races' bounty on Qin Hao began to spread among the high-level echelons of various forces as soon as Qin Hao entered the Nine-Domain Alliance. The monster race, insect race, and automaton race each offered a peak treasure as a bounty. 3 peak treasures were still extremely attractive to most universe lords, but considering they would have to face an enemy several times stronger than a 4th-rank universe master, they still had to think it over. Chapter 320, An Encounter. Chapter 320. Chance encounter. Upon entering the Nine-Domain Alliance territory, Qin Hao's speed of advancement involuntarily slowed down considerably. Besides traveling, he spent more time exploring various life planets. The 100,000 races of the Nine-Domain Alliance were not a mere figure, their number even exceeded that. On various planets, Qin Hao witnessed different races, and even on many core planets, it was quite common to find numerous races coexisting. Remember this site's domain name. Read Taiwan novels on Taiwan novel website, twcan.com. For all your reading needs, it was normal to see a dozen or even hundreds of races on a single planet. On the main planets of each domain within the Nine-Domain Alliance, there could even be tens of thousands of races. Witnessing such a multitude of different life forms, Qin Hao's urgency to travel instead lessened considerably. Previously, whether it was his clone or his own activities, his scope was relatively limited. He had seen many races, but never such a vast diversity. After all, whether it was the human race, monster race, insect race, or automaton race, the differences among the races within their respective factions or alliances were not that great. Although there were differences within the human race, they could all ultimately be categorized under human characteristics. As for a power like the Nine-Domain Alliance, with its multitude of gathered races, only the Elder God cult could compare. However, the Elder God cult was more of a loose organization, with most of its inheritors being members of other powers and races in the universe. While traveling among these life planets, Qin Hao not only witnessed numerous races, but also encountered the customs of many. Furthermore, he conducted some simple research on these races, compared to enemies, whom he could directly enslave and analyze at the gene level. Qin Hao would not do such a thing to the races of the Nine-Domain Alliance without conflict. Moreover, although the Nine-Domain Alliance had a vast number of races, those that truly caught Qin Hao's special attention and required detailed research were extremely rare. His research into the gene level of the human race, monster race, and insect race had accumulated considerable experience for Qin Hao. Most common races held few secrets in his eyes, they merely served to enrich his collection of data. Stopping and going after several decades, Qin Hao gradually began to leave the Nine-Domain Alliance territory and head towards the human race territory. Over these decades, the bounties from the monster race, insect race, and automaton race had gradually spread throughout the entire universe. However, Qin Hao's identity was inherently very secretive, and few truly knew it. Even with provided images, apart from a small number of people in the human race, others had no idea of Qin Hao's identity. The various races across the universe were mostly curious about this newly risen power and its experts. After all, thousands of champion-level experts and more than a dozen venerable-level experts launching direct suicide attacks, along with a large number of exploding crystals, were something any race would need to be wary of. A surprise attack could lead to the most direct loss of power through the demise of champions and venerables, but the destruction of a large number of elite reserves and facilities could cause even more severe damage. The key was that it presented an intractable situation, leaving no choice but to revive and rebuild. Otherwise, there might be a period of scarcity. A generational gap within a race, even for a single period, posed a potential danger to the race that was more critical than the resources expended. Boom! As Qin Hao was traveling in his spaceship, an energy burst erupted in the dark universe, striking the spaceship. Although the spaceship's defenses held, it quickly decelerated and jumped out of the dark universe. Feeling the tremor of the spaceship, Qin Hao was somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected to be attacked before even leaving the Nine-Domain Alliance. After all, territories of major powers were generally relatively safe. The internal stability and security of a major power were important metrics for itself and for external observers. Thus, Qin Hao had not specifically turned on his detectors in the Nine-Domain Alliance, and he was relatively relaxed. He hadn't expected that this relaxation would lead to someone directly provoking him. Qin Hao was more curious about this. His spaceship was, after all, the most advanced one from the Virtual Universe Corporation. Based on the identity displayed by the spaceship alone, ordinary people shouldn't dare to attack directly. After jumping out of the dark universe, Qin Hao did not leave. He immediately had Gu stop the spaceship. Sitting in the spaceship, he waited with interest for the approaching individuals. Soon, a spaceship rapidly flew towards Qin Hao's location. The spaceship was not small and quite luxurious, but compared to Qin Hao's, it still seemed a bit humble. Furthermore, while the Nine-Domain Alliance's power was formidable, its technology still lagged behind the Virtual Universe Corporation. The approaching spaceship was barely comparable to an F-class spaceship. Upon arrival, The spaceship did not stop immediately, but instead drove directly beside Qin Hao's spaceship. After the hatch opened, a squad of 11 people emerged from the spaceship. Each of the 11 individuals stood 10 meters tall, their skin covered in scales, and a curved horn protruded from their brow. Aside from this, they were generally very similar to Earthlings, only with larger hands and feet, and a violent aura constantly emanated from their bodies. Yan God Clan. Seeing the approaching individuals, Qin Hao instantly understood their identity. They were indeed the Yan God Clan, a race created by Zuo Shank. They focused primarily on physical evolution, but had flaws in their state of mind. Originally, they were a race belonging to the human race, but they eventually betrayed the human race. They now reside in the Yan God secret realm, led by Yan Emperor, who possesses the strength of a universe lord and is currently a member of the Nine Domain Alliance. Qin Hao was also somewhat curious about the Yan God clan. The Yan God clan was a race crafted by Zuo Shank, originally intended to be his helpers. Their physical talent was top tier throughout the entire universe. Yan Emperor's gene level approached the perfect gene level, and the gene levels of the entire Yan God clan were not low, with many exceeding 1,000 times. The gene levels of these 11 individuals before him had all reached 1,000 times, which was very rare throughout the entire primordial universe. It is important to know that throughout the universe, individuals with gene levels above 1,000 times were generally isolated cases. It was rare for an entire race to exhibit this. The Yan God clan clearly broke this pattern. Their patriarch approached perfect genes. Undying level individuals reached 1,000 times the gene level. World Lord level individuals reached 100 times the gene level. And universe rank level individuals generally had more than 10 times the gene level. Zuo Shank had high expectations for the Yan God clan, nurturing and guiding them towards the third level of physical evolution. Even the Nine Tribulations Secret Codex was prepared for this purpose. However, despite their powerful genes, the Yan God clan had flaws in their state of mind, destined not to go too far on the path of strength, and were eventually abandoned. Zuo Shank then began guiding new races. Earth and the previous Source Star were Zuo Shank's new attempts. Chapter 321, The Flame God Clan, Chapter 321. Yan God Clan. After the 11 members of the Yan God Clan disembarked from their spaceship, they swaggered over to Qin Hao's spaceship. Their eyes were filled with greed as they stared at his vessel, even reaching out to tap its hull, feeling the hard metal. "My lord, this is a human race spaceship, and there should be a human race powerhouse inside," a burly man said to the leader, a hint of resentment in his eyes when he mentioned the human race. "Exit the cabin immediately and hand over your spaceship and all your wealth. We can spare your life." The voice of the leading Yan God clan strongman penetrated the spaceship. Qin Hao paid no mind, directly retracting his spaceship and manifesting in the starry sky. Seated on his throne, Qin Hao looked at these members of the Yan God clan, finding it somewhat amusing. These Yan God clan members possessed strong physical talents, but their temperament and law talents were relatively ordinary. Under the enhancement of their gene level, they typically became formidable powerhouses upon reaching the undying stage. However, this also fostered their arrogant and haughty personalities. After becoming undying, their cultivation speed would significantly decrease. Apart from Yan Emperor becoming a universe lord, only a select few truly grew strong. Watching the spaceship vanish, the Yan God clan members stared intently at the human race individual before them, their aura already spreading out. Instantly, a wild and primal aura filled the surrounding space. The Yan God clan members looked at Qin Hao with smugness, awaiting the human race individual's submission. However, facing their imposing presence, Qin Hao's expression remained unchanged. A streak of divine power shot from his fingertip, instantly transforming into a rope that rapidly moved to ensnare the Yan God clan members. The divine power rope was not fast, yet the Yan God clan members offered no resistance. When they tried to mobilize their divine power, The surrounding space had already been completely space-locked, leaving them to watch as the divine power lasso bound them. The moment they were bound, the divine power of all 11 individuals was completely sealed, and their aura instantly dissipated, as if they had become ordinary people. "Who exactly are you?" the Yan God clan members asked, unwilling to accept their fate. All 11 Yan God clan members were immortal-level beings. The weakest was comparable to a Marquis-level immortal, and the strongest had reached the king level. Yet they were subdued without any ability to resist. How could such a powerhouse appear here? Qin Hao had no intention of answering their questions. The bestowal of gods directly unfolded, and the soul imprints of the 11 quickly condensed upon the bestowal of gods. "Head to Yan God's secret realm," Qin Hao commanded directly, having no interest in the names of these 11 individuals. After speaking, Qin Hao instantly teleported into the Yan God clan's spaceship. "Yes, master." The 11 Yan God clan members, upon hearing Qin Hao's command, respectfully bowed and replied. They then swiftly entered their spaceship and activated it, heading towards the Yan God secret realm. The Yan God secret realm is the secret realm where the Yan God clan was nurtured. Originally, it was within the human race territory, and the Yan God clan was considered a force belonging to the human race. However, after Yan Emperor broke ties with the human race, the Yan God secret realm was also moved out of human race territory and is now located within the 9-Domain Alliance region. The spaceship flew through the dark universe for a full 3 years before emerging from it. During these 3 years, Qin Hao did not entirely waste his time. He conducted research on the genes of the 11 Yan God clan members within the spaceship. If one were to speak of the most unique genes in the entire universe, besides some special life forms with perfect gene levels, then the Yan God clan's genes would be next. In fact, to some extent, the Yan God clan's genes are even more unique. In the universe, almost all special life forms have their gene level fixed upon birth. Apart from special opportunities or items that can enhance genes, changing one's genes is almost impossible. Even ordinary life forms, despite expending vast resources and methods to improve genes, can mostly only reach the primordial universe's limit of 100 times. For example, the blood river crystal controlled by the human race, even with the blood of the beast god, could only boost it to 100 times. However, the Yan God clan is different. Their gene level at birth is not very high, but as their cultivation improves, their gene level can also increase. This situation is almost unheard of in the primordial universe. Through 3 years of continuous research, Qin Hao gained some understanding of the Yan God clan's genes, but he still had no clue about the reason for their genetic growth. In the original work, Luo Feng's genetic growth was partly due to blood river crystal and beast god's blood, and partly due to the 9 Tribulations secret codex. However, Yan Emperor did not cultivate the 9 Tribulations secret codex, yet his gene level was close to the perfect gene level. If combined with the 3rd stage of divine power transformation from the 9 Tribulations secret codex, it would not be impossible. However, the issues with Yan Emperor and the Yan God clan's temperament became a hindrance. Perhaps it's a characteristic of life on Origin Continent. Without any leads, Qin Hao quickly had a new idea. It was impossible in the primordial universe, but not impossible on Origin Continent. The Origin Continent world is much vaster, with countless cosmic life forms gathered there, plus the native life forms. There are many races with naturally extremely powerful gene levels. Although the infinite divine body is a legend, the existence of the 3rd stage of divine power still exists. Some special life forms even have gene levels exceeding the perfect gene level at birth. The spaceship entered the Yan God secret realm without any obstruction. With the 11 Yan God clan powerhouses leading the way, Qin Hao quickly entered the Yan God secret realm. As the birthplace of the Yan God clan, the environment of the entire secret realm was quite unique. The concentration of law aura and cosmic energy far exceeded that of ordinary secret realms. Zhuo Shank's work is truly impressive. The creation of this secret realm would require at least the resources of a supreme treasure. Qin Hao couldn't help but sigh with emotion as he felt the environment of the Yan God secret realm. The value of Earth was also comparable to a supreme treasure, but the transformation of Earth leaned more towards guidance in temperament and soul, along with the nurturing of a unique culture. Compared to Earth, the Yan God secret realm was much vaster and could stimulate the transformation of the Yan God clan's genes, bringing about a more direct impact. Some things even faced restrictions in the primordial universe, but they existed reasonably within this secret realm. The spaceship continued to fly, and 3 continents appeared before Qin Hao. Each continent was vast, the largest with a diameter of 3 light-years and the smallest exceeding 1 light-year. The 3 continents orbited each other. In the central void encircled by the 3 continents, a majestic floating palace complex stood around the palace where endless flames, black, green, white, yellow, blue. Each flame exuded an incredibly mysterious aura. Chapter 322, Mysterious Realm of Flame. Chapter 322. Yan God's secret realm. After the spaceship entered the largest of the 3 continents, it once again entered the dark universe and began to move rapidly. It stopped after half a day of flying and landed in a palace. "Sir, we have arrived." The crew respectfully said to Qin Hao after the spaceship had landed steadily. Qin Hao then stood up. As he stood, his body rapidly transformed, and in a blink of an eye, he had become a 10-meter-tall, muscular man. The aura around him also began to change, turning into that of an ordinary undying, and his soul aura quickly simulated the aura of the Yan God clan. At this moment, Qin Hao was like a pure Yan God clan member. Even ordinary strong individuals would find it difficult to distinguish him. Qin Hao was even confident that, apart from Yan Emperor, even a Yan God clan venerable would not be able to see through his disguise. After following the 11 Yan God clan members off the spaceship, Qin Hao did not linger. He immediately left the palace, where they resided, and entered the Yan God secret realm to begin his research. The entire Yan God secret realm, being capable of nurturing a race like the Yan God clan, must have some unique aspects at the gene level. Since it was created by Zuoshank, Qin Hao was still very curious. Qin Hao had previously conducted a lot of research on genes during the creation of the human gene chart. However, at most, it only reached around 300 times, and the restrictions were significant, with the true success rate being almost 1 in 100 million. Qin Hao was not even sure how many would ultimately succeed. However, Qin Hao was very confident in the difficulty of cultivation within 100 times. Originally, Qin Hao had not planned to visit the Yan God clan, but this time he encountered some Yan God clan members, so he decided to make the trip. Upon entering the Yan God secret realm, Qin Hao also sensed the uniqueness of the entire realm. The hidden aura within the mystic realm was very faint. If he wasn't strong enough and his gene level wasn't high enough, it would be difficult to sense that obscure aura. This obscure aura was also what made the Yan God clan different from the primordial universe. Although very faint, it influenced the environment of the entire mystic realm, and even every Yan God clan member within the mystic realm. Inside and outside the Yan God secret realm, Qin Hao could clearly feel that the Yan God clan members had different adaptability to the environment. It was like returning to the mother's womb, constantly changing the bodies of the Yan God clan. Although very subtle, the imperceptible changes were continuously strengthening the gene level of the Yan God clan. This situation was somewhat similar to his own evolution secret technique, but it was even more profound. Furthermore, the enhancement of the entire environment also made the scope of such changes larger, and the resulting changes more lasting. It was precisely because of this peculiar aura that Qin Hao decided to thoroughly explore the differences within the Yan God secret realm. With his body transformed into a Yan God clan member, Qin Hao also wanted to touch the peculiar aura within the mystic realm through physical changes. However, it was clear that this aura was not as easily deceived as these Yan God clan members. Qin Hao could only search for the source of this mysterious aura within the Yan God secret realm. For 10 years, Qin Hao's activities in the Yan God's secret realm never stopped. He explored almost all 3 continents and the surrounding star domains. He had some gains, but he was still far from his goal. Qin Hao's perception of that mysterious aura became clearer, but he still hadn't found its source, and his understanding of its true nature was still very limited. The only place left unexplored was the palace in the center of the 3 continents, which was Yan Emperor's residence. Qin Hao was not in a hurry regarding this grand hall. Instead, over the course of 10 years, he gradually gained a deeper understanding of the Yan God clan, from the lowest-level members to some undying, strong individuals. Qin Hao gained a profound understanding of their lives, growth, and the process of gene changes. Qin Hao couldn't help but admire Zhuo Shank even more. He was, after all, a god-king-level strong individual. Although his strength had not yet recovered, his methods were unfathomable. However, Qin Hao was not without any gains. Through his understanding of the Yan God clan, he also discovered that most of the laws comprehended by the Yan God clan were the law of fire, followed by the other 4 elements of the 5 elements laws, and finally the law of wind, law of thunder, and law of light. The number of individuals comprehending the law of wind, law of thunder, and law of light was extremely rare. Qin Hao felt that this was also an influence of Zhuo Shank's layout. The activation at the gene level should be primarily driven by the law of fire. Using this path as a guide, Qin Hao gradually further analyzed the obscure aura within the Yan God's secret realm. It encompassed the 5 elements laws, time law, and space law, converging into an obscure and very mysterious aura. It seems to be related to fusion laws. The fusion of the 5 elements laws, time law, and space law, the aura of life. Although it is only a corner of a god-king's comprehension and application of laws in the primordial universe, even a universe strongest would find it difficult to understand, Qin Hao mused as he organized his gains. However, to unveil the final mystery, I still need to meet Yan Emperor to confirm it. Qin Hao already had his own conjectures and some ideas about Zhuo Shank's methods. To enhance the gene level of a race in the primordial universe without being rejected, it could only be through the source of life, or the life origin Great Tao. However, no matter what it was a very important direction for Qin Hao's future comprehension. From laws to fusion laws, to Great Tao branches, to the Great Tao, the future path was far more complicated than imagined. Having figured out these issues, Qin Hao's figure directly disappeared from the smallest continent of the Yan God's secret realm. He reappeared outside the floating palace complex surrounded by the 3 continents. Passing through the endless flames, Qin Hao stepped directly onto the palace and walked towards its interior. Along the way, Qin Hao leisurely observed the surrounding environment, sensing the aura within the entire palace, completely without any urgency. As for the owner of the palace, Yan Emperor, Qin Hao didn't care. A second-tier universe lord posed no threat to him. The only reason was to consider Zhuo Shank's feelings. Qin Hao had no intention of directly fighting Yan Emperor. Luo Feng's senior brother. Let Luo Feng handle him in the future. Walking all the way to the palace entrance, Qin Hao couldn't help but sigh. It truly was the core of the entire mystic realm. The originally obscure aura was now much clearer. Qin Hao's conjecture was further confirmed. Among the traces left by Zhuo Shank, the aura of life was incomplete, and the fusion of the 5 elements laws, time law, and space law was also incomplete. However, for Qin Hao, it was already enough. Chapter 323, Emperor Yan. Chapter 323. Yan Emperor outside the palace. The moment Qin Hao stepped in, a towering figure on the highest palace of the palace complex opened his eyes. Who is it? How could someone enter the palace so silently? Yan Emperor rose from his throne, his aura rapidly spreading, and a powerful might enveloped the entire palace complex, surging rapidly towards Qin Hao's direction. As a universe lord, he had sufficient confidence, and with the many supreme treasures on him such as the Jai armor, original soul, and Yan God halberd, even some 4th-tier universe masters might not be stronger than him. The fact that he was able to lead his Yan God clan away from the human race and retreat completely back then showed how powerful he and the Yan God clan were. It was precisely this confidence that, when he realized someone had intruded, he was greatly surprised but not panicked. Instead, he was very curious about the intruder. The release of his powerful might was also a test of the newcomer, to gauge the strength of the arriving expert. However, Qin Hao's reaction exceeded his expectations. Under the powerful might, Qin Hao was not affected in the slightest. His speed of advance remained unhurried, each step taken with great ease, yet it made Yan Emperor realize that the newcomer was not simple. Qin Hao quickly arrived at the highest palace of the complex. The moment he stepped into the palace, Qin Hao's disguise completely receded, revealing his human race identity before Yan Emperor. Yan Emperor in the palace looked at the human who walked into the main hall, a trace of anger in his eyes. The human race was an indelible memory for the Yan God clan. The Yan God clan was once a member of the human race, fighting for it. However, after defecting from the human race, they were filled with hatred for it. In fact, on the outside territory battlefield, besides the monster race, automaton race, and insect race, the Yan God clan often appeared there as well. The soldier armor and general armor Qin Hao found on the garbage planet also came from participants of the Yan God clan. These members of the Yan God clan entered the outside territory battlefield, collaborated with other races, fought against the human race, and eventually died on the battlefield. These broken general armor and soldier armor were then collected on the garbage planet. As the strongest of the Yan God clan, Yan Emperor's hatred for the human race was also extremely deep. Now, seeing a human race member appear so brazenly before him, and so casually entering the territory belonging to the Yan God clan, even impersonating a member of the Yan God clan, the fire in Yan Emperor's eyes seemed to materialize at this moment. Human race, you dare to intrude into the Yan God clan's territory. It seems the human race has forgotten everything it did to the Yan God clan. Yan Emperor said, slowly stepping down from the high platform. With each step, his aura continuously rose, and the surrounding temperature rapidly soared. As Yan Emperor's anger flared, the flames outside the suspended palace complex also seemed to be mobilized, gathering towards the highest palace and continuously merging into Yan Emperor's body. At this moment, Yan Emperor had already transformed into a god of flame. The surrounding time and space also began to distort under the continuous scorching of the flames. However, none of this affected Qin Hao in the slightest. His powerful god power instantly erupted, directly blowing away the surrounding flames. With a burst of cold aura, all the flames were extinguished instantly, and the entire space seemed to freeze in an instant. The law fusion of wind law, water law, and space law, the powerful law power, directly had a great impact on the law of fire, time law, and space law understood by Yan Emperor. The cold aura instantly permeated the entire hall, and the walls and pillars of the hall were frozen with frost. You're too impatient. You're far worse than your master, and also quite a bit worse than your senior and junior brothers, Qin Hao said slowly, walking directly to Yan Emperor's side. He didn't want to comment too much on Yan Emperor. After all, whether it was the conflict with the human race or the subsequent conflict with Luo Feng, Qin Hao didn't want to delve into the reasons or get too involved. This time, meeting Yan Emperor was also to see how Zuo Shank's work on the God Power route was, and to understand some of Zuo Shank's methods. You know, Master. Yan Emperor looked at Qin Hao in shock. The relationship between him and Zuo Shank was very secretive. And Zuo Shank's mysteriousness meant that even as a disciple, he knew very little. Yan Emperor's feelings for his master were very complex, but deep down, he felt more wronged. He himself and even his entire clan had been abandoned, and his heart was filled with unwillingness. Yes, Zuo Shank. I just saw him not long ago. Qin Hao didn't hide it, mostly observing Yan Emperor during their conversation. Even if Qin Hao wanted to directly control a universe lord, it wouldn't be that simple. Moreover, Qin Hao's goal was mostly achieved. Upon entering this palace, Qin Hao had gained some understanding of the aura that guided the genetic changes of the Yan God clan, and he also had some ideas for future directions. The next step was continuous digestion and research. Not long from now, your junior brother should come looking for you. I hope you'll be sensible then. Qin Hao finished speaking, and God power fluctuations began to emanate from around his body, openly initiating divine kingdom teleportation. Seeing Qin Hao's unbridled manner, the anger in Yan Emperor's eyes rose again. Qin Hao's actions completely disregarded him, treating the Yan God clan as a place where he could come and go as he pleased. This was a complete disrespect. However, the person in front of him was too mysterious, someone he had never heard of, and he even had a connection with his master. All of this made him treat the situation with caution. Moreover, in the brief clash just now, he also clearly understood that the person in front of him was stronger. Although only wind law, water law, and space law were displayed, they were fused together, making the power of the laws extremely strong among universe lords, and this should not be his full strength. At this moment, Qin Hao's divine kingdom teleportation had ended, and his figure disappeared directly from the main hall. A mysterious person, could it be the universe lord who stirred up the insect race, monster race, and automaton race before? Yan Emperor thought of a possibility. There were many universe lords hidden in the universe, but such close timing and similarly mysterious methods made Yan Emperor link the two together. Thinking of this possibility, Yan Emperor couldn't help but feel a bit fortunate. To be able to crush the combined forces of 3 universe lords, to be able to retreat completely even against a top 5th-tier universe master, and to turn the 3 races upside down, his methods and strength were not something he could afford to provoke. Chapter 324, Re-entering Chaos City on the main continent of Virtual Universe Company headquarters, within a massive estate, a wave of divine power spread, and then a figure appeared on the central plaza of the estate. The entire plaza was enormous, spanning tens of thousands of kilometers. This plaza was only a part of the estate. Beside it, colossal buildings stood, and at the moment the divine power fluctuation appeared, figures rapidly emerged from within the buildings, standing in front of the plaza. As the figures appeared, each respectfully bowed their heads, every one of them extremely nervous. Arrange a spaceship for tomorrow. We're heading to Primordial Chaos City. Qin Hao walked past the crowd and directly ordered. After leaving the Yan God clan, Qin Hao had initially planned to return directly to Earth. But after some thought, he ultimately decided to make a trip to Primordial Chaos City. After all, such a significant matter needed to be reported to Primordial Chaos City Lord, and moreover, Qin Hao was also preparing to break through to Universe Lord this time. His comprehension of time law had already reached its final limit, with a breakthrough imminent. Qin Hao was no longer planning to suppress it. After visiting Primordial Chaos City, he intended to directly break through and become a Universe Lord. Upon becoming a Universe Lord, Qin Hao's strength would once again soar, potentially even directly rivaling a 6th-order Universe Master. Simultaneously, all of Qin Hao's clones were also ready to break through to the Venerable Level realm, and their combat power would fully reach the level of a Universe Lord. Yes, after Qin Hao gave his command, the person in charge respectfully replied. Qin Hao directly strode towards the central temple of the estate. This temple was built to mimic Qin Hao's temple atop Thunder Island, and the entire estate's design incorporated various garden and architectural styles from Earth's China civilization. This estate occupied an area of trillions of kilometers within the entire Virtual Universe Company headquarters, making it one of the largest estates in the Virtual Universe Company headquarters. It was rapidly constructed by Qin Hao after he became a Universe Lord. This was Qin Hao's first time here, so he didn't choose to go directly to Primordial Chaos City. Instead, he decided to explore this estate. After all, it was one of his resting places, and Qin Hao planned to stroll around, considering it a way to pass the time. The next day, Qin Hao directly took a spaceship into Primordial Chaos City and headed to the City Lord's mansion in the city center. Originally, having fully comprehended space law teleportation was the most convenient method. However, Qin Hao now favored the spaceship mode even more. He enjoyed feeling the changes around him, experiencing the entire world in a slow and leisurely process. It was very similar to his relaxed days on Earth. Upon entering the City Lord's mansion, Qin Hao went directly into the Chaos Ruins. Instead of wandering around your star palace or on Earth, what made you decide to come to Primordial Chaos City? Primordial Chaos City Lord looked at the appearing Qin Hao, somewhat surprised by his presence. After all, in the past few millennia, Qin Hao had almost always been in the Milky Way galaxy. Except for a trip to Primordial Chaos City when he became a venerable, he had hardly stepped out, not even visiting other star regions of the Ganwu universe country. Some time ago, I went to the monster race and did some things. This time, I'm back and preparing to directly break through to Universe Lord, so I came to Primordial Chaos City first to report to teacher, Qin Hao said in a somewhat understated tone. So the matter in the monster race was done by you. Primordial Chaos City Lord immediately grasped the key point. The monster race incident had now spread throughout the entire primordial universe. Primordial Chaos City Lord had some suspicions, but he hadn't expected such a massive disruption that directly shook the three races and caused so much destruction. After all, he was somewhat aware of Qin Hao's strength, but only his individual strength. He knew Qin Hao had enslaved many powerful beings, but he hadn't realized there were so many. Over 3,000 champion-level powerhouses, and more than a dozen venerable-level powerhouses, engaging in suicidal killings, directly inflicted the most direct losses on the three races. Even among the human race, with its numerous strong individuals, it would be difficult to achieve such a feat. The human race could not so easily enter these core areas of the alien races, nor would they sacrifice human race powerhouses to do such things. Now, his own disciple had accomplished it. Although it couldn't change the overall situation of the four races, it did provide the human race with some development time. 100,000 years would be enough for the human race to digest some of Qin Hao's legacies and enough time to cultivate a multitude of powerhouses through the human gene chart. Now the monster race, insect race, and automaton race have issued bounties, 3 peak supreme treasures. Your net worth is not low now. Be careful, these alien races might take desperate measures, Primordial Chaos City Lord instructed. After this breakthrough, I should have the strength to deal with anything. At least in the primordial universe, no one will be able to threaten me. Qin Hao said confidently. Upon breaking through to Universe Lord, his divine power would be greatly enhanced, increasing his strength by at least 100-fold. Qin Hao's strength would reach the level of a 6th-order universe master. While he might not dominate in the Universe C, he would be safe in the primordial universe. After all, the strongest power that could be exerted in the primordial universe was only that of a 6th-order universe master. Even the universe strongest, once they use power exceeding that of a 6th-order universe master in the primordial universe, will be restricted by the original universe will. For the next period, Qin Hao's most important task was the continuous comprehension of laws, especially the fusion laws. At the same time, he also needed to continuously create more powerful secret techniques to fully unleash his strength. The comprehension of laws does not equate to strength. Only powerful secret techniques that fully utilize the laws can be transformed into true strength. Once your identity is exposed, the three races will inevitably pay the price to ask the universe strongest to act. At that time, you must be careful. If there are any problems, contact the race immediately, and great acts will arrive at any time. Primordial Chaos City Lord said, handing a token to Qin Hao. This is Great Axe's token. After contacting him, he will directly teleport to your side via his divine kingdom, Primordial Chaos City Lord explained. Primordial Chaos City Lord and others also had their suspicions about Qin Hao's actions. Especially that distinctive grand formation, a grand formation composed of stars, had only been seen on Qin Hao. Qin Hao did not refuse and accepted the token. Although he was confident, being cautious was always wise. Upon becoming a Universe Lord, Qin Hao was confident he could escape from the hands of the universe's strongest, but who could predict whether the monster race, insect race, and automaton race would go to desperate lengths? After receiving the token from Primordial Chaos City Lord, and after they conversed for some time, Qin Hao directly left Primordial Chaos City and headed to the depths of the primal universe, preparing for his breakthrough to Universe Lord. Chapter 325 Breakthrough Chapter 325 Breaking through to become a Universe Lord was never difficult for Qin Hao. After becoming an Exalt, he could become a Universe Lord at any time if he wished. Unlike most Exalts, whose talents mostly leaned towards one of the higher laws, they would also choose one higher law as their primary focus during cultivation. Even cultivators who comprehended the Universe Chaos Tablet would only choose to primarily cultivate time law or space law, with the other as a secondary focus. This is also why, in the original work, when Balin chose to cultivate space-time fusion laws concurrently, many powerhouses from the Virtual Universe Corporation wanted to dissuade him. That was a path that many geniuses and even exalts had failed to complete. However, for Qin Hao, this was never an issue from the start. His cultivation of time law and space law had long been in a parallel state. In the ancestral god tomb, all three paths of both higher laws had already been completed, and the fusion of these three paths had begun. Before becoming undying, both higher laws had already reached an extremely high level. Even after becoming undying, his comprehension of both laws was unaffected. In fact, with the improvement of his gene level, Qin Hao's speed in law comprehension continuously accelerated. When he became an Exalt, choosing space as his breakthrough point was to first perfect the many laws fused with space law. Now, dedicating all his efforts to comprehending time law, Qin Hao's cultivation in time law was rapidly completing. That slight obstruction in time law was gradually broken. The threads of time law were continuously weaving new patterns. The 108 essences of laws of time law and the three paths were constantly converging, forming a brand new law pattern. In Qin Hao's eyes, the moment these threads formed by the essence of laws completed their weaving, they began to rapidly converge, gradually fusing together to form a complete whole. Time law complete. As time law was fully comprehended, Qin Hao's aura began to fully emanate. His colossal divine body directly manifested, a divine body nearly 2 million kilometers tall, covering the sky and sun, appearing extremely vast even in the primal universe. However, the area Qin Hao was currently in was extremely far from Primordial Chaos City. In Primordial Chaos City, this colossal divine body could not be seen, but a faint aura still reached Primordial Chaos City. What kind of aura is that? Such a powerful aura, could it be that someone has invaded the primal universe? The moment the powerful aura reached Primordial Chaos City, many powerhouses residing in Primordial Chaos City awoke from their cultivation, quickly ascended into the sky above Primordial Chaos City, and entered a state of battle. Stand down. Just as everyone was tense, a cold and majestic voice emanated from the Primordial Chaos City Lord's mansion. Everyone calmed down at this moment. The owner of this voice was the master of Primordial Chaos City, Primordial Chaos City Lord, a powerhouse among the human race. At the same time, as Primordial Chaos City Lord's voice fell, the powerful aura pervading the entire Primordial Chaos City was directly blocked by Primordial Chaos City Lord. Feeling the disappearance of the powerful aura, everyone's hearts were completely at ease. He actually caused such a huge commotion again. In the Chaos Ruins, Primordial Chaos City Lord felt Qin Hao's rapidly rising aura, his gaze piercing through layers of obstacles to look at Qin Hao's breakthrough location. At this moment, Qin Hao's breakthrough had just begun. When time law was fully fused, Qin Hao achieved the rank of Universe Lord, and the law origin ocean descended. The origin ocean that descends when a normal Universe Exalt breaks through to Universe Lord reaches a diameter of several million kilometers. The powerful divine power ocean and origin law will cause the Universe Exalt's divine kingdom and divine power to undergo a transformation. The level and essence of the divine power will increase 100-fold, transcending space-time. However, Qin Hao was not an ordinary universe exalt, but a universe exalt whose strength was comparable to a fourth-rank universe master. His gene level had reached 36,500 times, and both his divine power and divine body had already exceeded the limits of the entire primordial universe. Now, Qin Hao's breakthrough origin ocean continued to condense even after reaching tens of billions of kilometers, and then began to rapidly expand. Hundreds of billions of kilometers, trillions of kilometers, 1 light-year, 2 light-years, until it stopped at 10 light-years. Subsequently, powerful divine power from the vast origin ocean began to pour down, directly integrating into Qin Hao's divine body. Qin Hao's divine body and divine power both began to rapidly transform. At the same time, vast divine power also integrated into the divine kingdom, constantly being absorbed by the divine kingdom, beginning to undergo transformation. Under waves of powerful divine power, the entire divine kingdom rapidly expanded during its transformation, becoming even more colossal. Furthermore, the 365 small divine kingdoms within his body were also continuously devouring more divine power at this time, integrating into the divine kingdom, and constantly becoming even larger. The star gods within the divine kingdom also seemed to awaken at this time, bathing in divine power and continuously transforming. While his divine body and divine power were improving, Qin Hao remained immersed in law comprehension. The completion of time law gave Qin Hao a deeper understanding of time law. The fusion of time law and space law was progressing rapidly. The previous accumulation towards time-space fusion laws seemed to be ignited at this moment. Space-time law can actually be like this. Feeling the constantly changing space-time law, Qin Hao's face was filled with excitement. In an incomplete state, although Qin Hao had a very deep comprehension of the fusion of the two laws, there were always some missing parts. Now that time law was complete, the fusion of the two laws became clearer. In a short period, the bottleneck of space-time law fusion seemed to be broken. Space-time law rapidly ascended to the 6th level and was still rapidly breaking through. After entering the 7th level, the speed of fusion began to rapidly decrease. With space-time law fusion at the 7th level, the law's tier alone had already reached a level comparable to a 5th-tier universe master. Coupled with the development of powerful secret techniques, he possessed sufficient power even among 6th-order universe masters. If he added his own gene level, the Zhu-Tian star array, and other factors, Qin Hao was confident he could stand shoulder to shoulder with some ancient 6th-order universe masters. The fusion of space-time law stopped, and Qin Hao's comprehension gradually shifted to other fusion laws. First was the fusion of time law with wind, thunder, and light law. His comprehension of these 3 fusion laws had already reached the extreme of the 6th level, only lacking the completion of time law to reach perfection. Now, with time law complete, the 3 fusion laws also rapidly reached a state of perfection. In addition, the fusion of 5 elements laws and time law was also rapidly improving. We've already crossed halfway to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and enjoying these novel audiobooks. Every subscribe, like, comment, and share helps us grow faster and bring you even more epic stories. If you love revenge stories, Overpowered MC's Rebirth and System novels, fantasy adventures, and Cultivation World's long, immersive audiobook uploads, then subscribe and join the journey to 1K subscribers. We're more than halfway there. Let's hit this milestone together.